All right. What's going on, family? What's going on? Okay. Sorry for the delay. I need to get some things in order before I went live. I think we're good now. All right. So I'm going to give some time for y'all to come on in. Just bear with me. A little hungry, so snacking on something real quick. Okay, so we are about to begin. All right. Hold on real quick. All right. I apologize for that. Okay, so let's get the word out. So be sure to share this session, family. Be sure to share the session. Hit that thumbs up button as you're coming on in. All right. Just give me a second. All right. All right, family. So make sure you guys share the link. If you're brand new, hit subscribe. I'll be with you in 1 second. All right. All right. All right. All right. Appreciate that, my brother Jordan's Cadet. Thank you for the donation, my brother. I appreciate that. All right. Let's go ahead. Okay. All right, family. Just give me a second. All right, let me see. I think I should be good. I think I should be good. All right. All right. I'm going to get started, man. Shout out to Arcadia Music Group for the donation. I appreciate that. As y'all know, family, this is the eve of Hallows Eve. All right. The eve of Hallows Eve. If I have a chance tomorrow, y'all know tomorrow's a Sabbath. But if you have the chance tomorrow, we may go out door to door, but not to trick or treat. Definitely have our garbs on with our fringes and all of that. Going door to door, bring information to the people because they're anticipating something from strangers on this particular evening. All right, tomorrow evening. So what we're going to do is bring them good tidings. That's what we're going to bring them, good tidings. And we're going to target a couple of areas if we do have the opportunity to do so and bring this information out to the family, okay, to our family, all right, the lost sheep, all right. So we'll see how that goes. That'll be part of our social engineering project, and we'll see how that goes, all right. So otherwise, if not, then I'll just probably do a quick session on that. Last year, you go check out the Halloween session or special we did last year. That was popping. We went into the jack-o'-lantern and all of that and brought out some heavy information, right? So all you got to do is just type in KHM or DivineProspect, put in Halloween, and you'll be able to check out that video, okay? All right. So with that being said, again, family, share this link. Y'all see what we have in the title. I may have to edit the title a little bit because we may not be doing that first session until later on in the week, but let me edit it real quick. All right, that should do. All right. This. All right. See if that worked. Yep. All right. I guess that didn't work. So give me a second. I'm going to edit this real quick. All right. Y'all hit one in the chat. Let me know if the audio and video is fine. And I want to make sure we have no issues before we go further in. All right. So just give me a second. Give me 1 second. All right. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So I think we are all set in regarding that. All right. Okay, family. All right. So everything's looking good. Okay, that's cool. All right. So you can see where we're gonna get started. Just give me a second. Again, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button. Hit that thumbs up if you're brand new. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you share this video. We're gonna go in a little bit tonight. I'll give you all some previews and some things tonight. But you just gotta bear with me for a second. What's having some technical issues early? I'm just making sure I'm not having any now for the rest of the night. So just give me 1 second. All right. Okay. So we're good to go. Then I'm going to stuff my face in front of y'all. So I back out a little bit because I'm going to take a couple bites to eat. So y'all don't have to see all of that. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me get some shout outs before we begin. All right. Shout out to Reckless Animosity in the building. Paul Brassfield, Leslie Fields, what's going on? Consuelo F. What's up? What's up? Arcadia Music Group, Chief Might, New Hope Family Investments, LLC. Saying Kofa John, what's up? Lee Legend, the DJ, what's up? What's up? Rapa Aratiza. Well, Rapa, I cannot join because we do our show here, and everybody here are not too fond of vocab and the other Christian apologists. So we're going to do our own thing. Okay. Now, if they still happen to still be on when we finish our show, then I'll see about jumping on. But I had no clue they were going live today. I didn't know anything about that. If so, I probably would have rescheduled this and just to get on in there and have some fun. But shout out to Ashandat Law. Shalom, sis. Shalom. Thank you for getting in touch with us, sis. Appreciate it. Benjamin Direwolf Jen, 4927. Stephen Mikhail Key, Jordan's Cadet, Sister V Love, Darak Yasharal, Candace Daniels, Kevin Jones. Shalom, my brother. What's going on? My sister, 916 Shan in the building. Zerubbabel, Judah, Jimmy Johnson, Karen Gittins. Shalom. Just call me Tex. What's going on? Katriel Ben Israel. He said, what are my thoughts on that debate? I thought it was interesting. It wasn't really moderated properly. And I wouldn't even call it a debate because it wasn't even a formal structured debate either. But I think both sides have made some pretty decent points. Y'all know that I'm more on the technical side, mechanical side of the language. So, I have my take on that. However, from the other side, there was some insight that was brought out that I never saw before on Zion Lex's side. So I thought that was interesting. So I don't really have too much to weigh in. I didn't watch the whole thing, even though I saw maybe about 2 hours of it. It still wasn't the whole video. The whole video was several hours long. You know what I'm saying? So I have to watch a little bit more, make sure I get everything before I weigh in on it. All right. But shout out to my brother Zion Lex. And Mitz for both joining in on the panel and having a really good dialogue, man. I would love to see a formal debate between those two. All right. Shout out to Eric Gross in the building. What's going on? Just Azariah, the Black Carib. What's going on? My brother Vaughn in the building. Arad, YHWH, Yashakar in the building. 617, let's get it. Andre Daniels, Strong Island, keep it a buck. What's up? What's up? Yaya, 144, Joby Fresh, Gartriel McKinney. All right. Let's see who else we got up in here, man. Let's see who else. Zeroyah Hubendora. Shalom to you, my brother. Breaking Mental Shackles in the building. Endurance Pie. What's up? What's up? Man. Lenwood Young, Ace Yehuda for life. Christian Mayfield, Shalom, Dwayne Yosef. What's up? What's up? It was on Dagger Squad, Dwayne. Dagger Squad channel. Shout out to Gary in the building. Kenesha Morgan, Ile E. Let's see. Pieces of Me. What's up? Jetson Silencio, Hubert Mafumulo, CJ The Chosen, Moray Shema Talmiyahu. Yes, I think you messaged me, my brother Shema. You said something for Sunday. So Sunday evening, I'm doing a debate. I'm gonna go into that in a second. But yeah, I'll reach back out to you, my brother, and we can talk about that. Okay. Okay. Not 16 Shan. Yes, sis. I did start reading that book. I never finished it, but I did start reading that book, and it did give similar insight as well. All right, similar insight as well. But we're really technical over here when it comes to the language. Even though I leave some wiggle room open for some additional insights, for anybody that wants to bring a different vantage point. But however, we're pretty technical over here when it comes to the language. All right. Shout out to Eric Tinsley in the building. What's going on? All right. So let's go ahead and get started, family. Again, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you share this video. All right. Shout out to By Hearing and Hearing By. Shalom, sis. What's going on? All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. So first things first, let's get the basic things out the way. I want to first start off by encouraging everybody here to go to your Android Google Play Store or your Apple App Store and download the My One Church app. Download the My One Church app. Okay, I'm gonna bring it up on the screen so y'all can see it. You can see what I'm talking about. All right. All right, here it is right here. All right, this is it right here for Android. All right, so you're gonna go to your phone right now. If you got your phone, go to your phone, go to the Google Play Store, go in the search box and type in My One Church app. All right, and those of you who have Apple, let me go ahead and show you what y'all's will look like. Where did it just go? It looked like it just disappeared. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, and if you have Apple, here it is right here. You're gonna go to the My One Church app. So I'm gonna give you a second for you to download this app real quick. All right, and once you go to the Android Google Play Store and the Apple App Store, download the app, install it, launch the app. Okay. All right, and once you launch the app, you're going to see a zip code field. Type in 30064. 30064. Hit enter. You're going to see the Kingdom Harbinger Ministries entry show up. Click onto that. All right, once you click onto that, if you're interested in joining any of our groups, you can do so. Okay, we have our chapter groups and we have different roles for the organization. If you want to join one of those role groups, you can. We also have services that we offer: Natural Path to Eden and Jubilee Main Mission. One is for health education services. The other one is for credit repair, debt elimination. Both offer services as well as affiliate and consultant employment programs. All right, you can join those groups as well. Or at the top left, you'll see those horizontal bars. You're going to click on that, click on forms, click on membership details. So click on the menu button, the 3 horizontal bars, click on forms, and click on membership details. And then at the bottom right, you're going to see a little button there, blue circle button. Click on that and add your information if you're interested in partnering with us, joining the organization, etc. Okay. All right. So while y'all doing that, we just released a video of a Zoom session that we did on Wednesday. I was going to keep the Zoom session exclusively just for the attendants or attendees, that was on the Zoom session. However, a lot of people said that they wanted to join in and they were not able to. So because they wanted to join in, they were not able to. They requested, if I was going to do it again. So I said, okay, well, you know what? Let me do an early access for Patreon. And then from there, I released it publicly earlier today. I premiered it. And a lot of you liked it. So if you haven't seen it, go back to the video right before this one so you can get an understanding of what Natural Path to Eden is, what services we provide, and what are our affiliate and consultant employment programs that we offer. Okay. And again, our objective is to touch on the societal ills that we experience in our community by providing a paradigm to resolve those ills. All right. And that's one way in which we do it, through the health paradigm. Okay. That comes straight from our Israelite cultural disposition. Okay. All right. So make sure you're going to check that video out. Extremely important. Those of you interested in health, you want to definitely check on that. And again, everybody download the app. Okay. It's called the My One Church app. Everybody download the app, install the app. The more people that we can get on using the app, the easier it is for us to communicate with you guys directly through the app. We can do push notifications through text or by email. We can communicate to everybody generally. Sometimes it's better than email. Sometimes people got multiple emails. So sometimes it'd be difficult. From the app, what we can do is push out one email to everybody, as well as one text to everybody, as well as a push notification, right? Depending upon what your preference is, all right? And that way we can communicate with you and let you know what's going on, bring you on board to the things that we're doing as far as the organization is concerned, and move forward together as a team, as a collective, okay? All right. So also as a heads up, shout out to the Black Av in the building. Jack Max, what's going on? S.E. Thompson, Von Eric. What's up, family? Sister Tamika One in the building. What's going on? All right. Sister Gail is in here as well. What's up? And I think that's everybody that I seen slipped in. All right. So don't forget, we are aiming to be in Los Angeles on November 13th, 14th, and 15th. Let me make sure I got my dates together. Yes, 13th, 14th, and 15th. We plan to be in the Los Angeles area. All right. So if you're in LA, feel free to email us, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com, or download the app and go to our KHM Los Angeles chapter group in the app and add your details there. All right. So we can RSVP you. Okay. But yes, we plan to be in LA soon. We'll have to fly out next week. All right. So stay tuned for that. Also, we're deciding on what we're going to do for the rest of the year. Like I said, I didn't want to do a lot of traveling in December and January, and possibly don't do anything until the end of February. But we're trying to figure out if we'll be able to squeeze in both Houston and Raleigh. Trying to see what we can do, or it might come up to a toss up between either or. Okay. So far, we've been getting a lot of feedback. I think we got slightly more feedback from Raleigh, North Carolina than we did Houston. But y'all could also join the apps and the groups in the apps, or email us. Let us know that you're interested in either of these areas. And, you know, if it comes down to choosing one, where we get the most feedback from and requests is where we're going to go. Okay. So we definitely want to do that as well, so that we can close out the year with another strong and final chapter launch. But LA is going to be popping. It's a wrap when we get to LA. We got so much stuff that's going down. It's a wrap when we get to LA. All right. So definitely want to share that with y'all. Okay. All right, so we got the app out the way. Told y'all we're going to be in Los Angeles on the 14th. Okay. Also, don't forget to check out our Patreon. Don't forget to check out our Patreon. On our Patreon, www.patreon.com/DivineProspect. You can make a pledge there for any amount that you're led to give. We've added a few extra content on there. The video that I told y'all about as far as the natural path to Eden, as well as a couple of books that we added to the Patreon. All right, let me show it to y'all on there. Let's see. We're trying to wrap up to 250 so we can do another cash giveaway in November if we hit 250. All right. Let me go ahead and bring it up on the screen so y'all can check it out. And then we're gonna go in. All right, we're gonna go in. Hold on. Let's take a look real quick. Okay, here we go. All right. As you can see, there's 199 posts that we have, 37 videos, 1 poll, 12 links, 183 images. All right. So we just recently dropped this Cultural Background Study Bible NIV sampler of Genesis and Matthew. So I wasn't able to get you guys access to my PDF that I have. So I found the sampler, and I'm giving the sampler out, and the sampler gives you the full book of Genesis, full book of Matthew, so you can preview this resource. It's an excellent resource. Like I said, this is standard fare. Anybody that is following this ministry is recommended that you get this book. I got it on Kindle. You guys can purchase the physical book if you want. The Cultural Background Study Bible. This is an invaluable asset that you need to add to your collection for better exegesis and or midrash of the text. All right. And it's a necessary grab. You got to get it. I mean, this is a very insightful text. Matter of fact, I'll bring it up on the screen in 1 second. This way I can showcase it to you guys so you can see why it's so good. All right. So just give me a second. All right, so there it goes right there. Okay, so let me go ahead and show it to y'all real quick. All right. So as you can see, let me zoom in because it might be small if you got a phone. I know a lot of people are using their computer or their TV to watch this, but most people I think are using a phone. So I'm gonna zoom in. All right, and as you can see, it goes to ancient text relating to the Old Testament, and it gives you all of these sources here. Right, it gives you a timeline. All right, it gives you some information on the background of the A&E. All right. And now when we get into Genesis, you can see it has these sidebars here. The Hebrew word rachia, which is vault, is of unspecified material, but in at least one text, it refers to something solid. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 25-26. It is the boundary between Shemayim and Haaretz, and its main function is to hold back the water above. Some mountains are identified as intersecting the sky, perhaps holding it up. You see the imagery. Mesopotamian literature at times suggests some sort of skin, but also speaks of the various levels of heaven having pavements. The most visible one being blue. Heaven and earth were kept in place by cables held by the gods. All right. Then it goes into Egyptian iconography. Then it goes to the intertestamental and rabbinic speculation and pictorial representation that the ancient Near East portray waters above and below, which demonstrates that this was a common feature of ancient cosmic geography. All right. In Mesopotamia, the god Marduk assigns guards to keep the heavenly waters from flooding the earth. In Egyptian text, the sun god's bark travels from horizon to horizon across a heavenly ocean. In the Old Testament, the heavenly waters are sometimes called the Mabul, above which Yahweh is enthroned, right? Psalm 29:10, and which are released in the time of Noah. Genesis chapter 7, verse 10, which we are able to see. The concept of heavenly waters is the natural deduction to be drawn from the experience of precipitation. If moisture comes from the sky, there must be moisture up there. Thus, the sky becomes a pivotal phenomenon associated with water. So you get these type of things, sidebars, as you're reading the text. All right. And as you can see, also, you get additional insight here at the bottom. You see this here? You have your cross references here in the middle. All right. You got your footnotes here at the bottom. And I mean, this just goes in, man, just in, all the way in, man. Check it out. You go into the name of the Most High, okay? Genealogies, breaks it down for you as you're going through the text. The flood, as you're going through the text. It shows you the paved gateway of Dan featured a canopied platform where either the king or the image of the god stood. Line up beside it were stone benches where the elders would have sat and business of the city would have been conducted. Genesis 19:1, where it says the two angels arrived at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed his face down to the ground. My lords, he said, please turn aside your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night and then go on your way in the morning. All right. So this is where he would have been sitting right here, right? When he saw them, the entrance of the city. Okay. Again, a reason why it's invaluable, right? It goes into 19:5, right? Where it says they're called to Lot. Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us that we can have sex with them. And then it goes here in a footnote and it says perhaps one of the most developed alternative interpretations to the Hebrew here is the connotation that the men wanted to know the visitors. They are expressing distrust in Lot's ability to protect the city from spies, and they want to interrogate the men. Lot identifies this intention as wicked because interrogations in the ancient world were typically not gentle. In this view, Lot offers his daughters as hostages to be held as warranty that he has a situation well in hand. The most devastating problem to this position is that in Hebrew, the verb to know, yada, has a personal direct object. This is why learning the language is important, right? I.e. to know someone, it always has a sexual innuendo, okay? So again, I'm showing you guys why this is an invaluable resource, okay? And it just goes like this all the way until you get to the Brit Hadashah, right? Demons in the Bible. I think this is really interesting because of subject matter that's coming up. I'm going to talk about it in a few minutes, and I'm going to give you a preview of it as well. But again, it goes into this type of information as you're reading the text. All right. It's a great read, man. It deals with textual variants, ancient Near Eastern context in which the text is situated against, sister cultures, customs, All of that is in here. All of it is in here. All right. Okay. All right. So with that being said, again, this is why I highly recommend this for you guys. We also have I don't know who Kyle is, but I think he's bugging out. So maybe he wants to be on timeout. So we're going to put him in a little kitty corner. All right. So y'all can throw Kyle in a little kitty corner. Okay. All right. So y'all are asking me what's the name of the book. Okay. I shared it. Let me show it to y'all again. All right. So you can see the cover. All right. Because, you know, we always show our sources here. This is called the Cultural Background Study Bible. All right. This is the NIV version, but they also have an NKJV. I think they might have an RSV version too. I'm not sure, but I have the NKJV version. Okay. But this is the NIV version. Nonetheless, this is an excellent, excellent source. All right. And this is one of the things I recommend when people ask me, you know, upon this awakening, what are some of the first things that we need to learn? I said culture. Learn the culture in which the context is spoken in. If you learn the culture, then you'll be able to have the key to unlock everything. Well, how do you learn the culture? You have to learn the language. You got to learn the customs. You got to learn the sister cultures. You got to learn the material culture of that time. You got to learn the diets, the geography. You got to understand trade during that time period, political stresses, social stresses. All right. How did they perceive the afterlife? Okay. When they died, how did they perceive the world, you know, in which they lived? Okay. What were their proximity in regards to bodies of water, as far as springs? All right. As far as rivers. All right. And what symbolisms did these things bring to mind? All right. How to discern figurative language. And if you don't understand things in the immediate environment, you won't understand the figurative context in which things are being used and applied. Okay. All of this is extremely important in order for you to really understand what this text is talking about. All right. And there's a wealth of examples on how to do that. Okay. Now, this segue into our upcoming KHM Holistic Research Paradigm for Bible Study classes that are coming up. We should have the flyer done by next week. Once the flyer is live, then you know it's official. Then I'll promote it. You guys can sign up. If you're part of the Patreon, pledge $20 and up. You get in at no cost. However, if you're outside of the Patreon, it's an a la carte, $40 a month for 4 sessions. All right. We go every other week. All right. 2 sessions every other week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, where we disseminate methodology and sources on how to properly exegete and or use midrash on the text. All right. And we gotten so many responses for this course. I mean, it's been overwhelming. Right. So I know it's a must that we have to get it done. All right. Shout out to my brother, Eric Tinsley, for the donation. I truly appreciate that, my brother. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Shout out to Ascent of Phoenix in the building. Cesar Rodriguez. What's up? What's up? Sincere Israel. Lions Time Baby. What's going on? Yvette Powell in the building. Rico Gabbana. What's up? What's up? Did y'all catch that? Let me know if y'all got the book. Hit 1 if y'all caught the book. Because, you know, I'm bringing up several more resources as we're talking. All right. Because we're going to get into some stuff. Y'all see the subject matter. All right. We don't run from this stuff. We deal with it. All right. Confront it head on. This is how we engage information. Okay. So, let me see what's his name. Shout out to Macro in the building. What's going on? So you know what? Breaking mental shackles. That's an excellent question. It could be due to a translator's approach. It could be because they're looking at alternate manuscripts. Remember, the book of Revelations is the least attested manuscript of the New Testament. Okay. However, it's there. There are a lot of textual variants in between the manuscripts. It was even considered doubtful or dubious by Eusebius and others. Okay. Nonetheless, it's there. So one of the things we'll be addressing is when we do these classes is we're going to go into the Greek, right? And we're going to pull out the Greek in regards to these texts, or the Hebrew in regards to these texts, or Aramaic, whatever, or Syriac, whatever you got to approach it. And we're going to show you what's there in the academic standard, right? So academia has a Hebrew standard text and it has a Greek standard text. We're going to get into all of that when we do these classes, okay? And then outside of these standard texts that they use, there's also other manuscripts, thousands of other manuscripts, but there are families that these manuscripts represent. and there's some textual variance between them. So you have to actually go into the commentators' notes of the translators of that translation, and you can be able to see how are they approaching this. All right, there's several papers written on this stuff. One of my best sources, one of my favorite sources is UBS. All right, let me bring it up on the screen. I'll show it to y'all. All right, shout out to my brother Reckless Animosity for the donation. Thank you so much, my brother. I appreciate that. All right. Vanessa says, how can we sign up for the course? Well, we're going to advertise it. Okay. If you're a Patreon, then you'll get access right through the Patreon. If you're not, and you're interested in the course, then if you go to the app, we have a event section, and you can add your interest there, or just email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com, and we'll add you onto the class, and we show you guys how you guys can put a donation towards it, so you can enjoy everything that it has. And then all the tools and stuff will make you available to it. All the books and resources will provide them to you. So, I mean, you're going to have everything. And we're going to show you our methodology going from the problem question all the way into our thesis. You know what I'm saying? And the hypothesis and everything else in between. A step-by-step approach that we're going to take. So that way a question like was just asked, we can get into. Okay. And again, I've tackled this several times on this channel. Okay. But now we're just going to hold classes where we're going to pick any random text or passage, and we're going to show you how to approach it. Okay. We're not just going to stay just linearly onto the text. We're going to look holistically at things outside the text as well, whether it's other material culture, non-material culture, living cultures, language, customs, etc. Whatever it is, when we look at it, I always tell my students, what are the nuances in this text? Look for the nuances, because there is a lot of information in the small details. You just got to spot them. All right. Shout out to my brother Gartrell McKinney for the donation. I appreciate that. Let me bring up this source real quick. I wasn't even planning on doing this, but I'm gonna also add this as well in the I'm gonna add this as well to the Patreon, so y'all can get access to it if you miss it. But let me go ahead and show you guys UBS real quick. See if I could bring it up on my screen. So one of the things that I use UBS for is their lexicon, right? Or their semantic dictionary of biblical Hebrew. That's what they call it. But I want to show you. Let me see if I can find what I wanted to show y'all. And if you don't know what UBS is, hopefully after this, we can break it down for y'all. Matter of fact, let me just show you the home screen so you can see. Let me share the screen real quick. Here we go. All right, this is United Bible Societies. All right, let's zoom in a little bit more so y'all can see it. All right, they deal with Bible translations, Bible production, distribution, Bible advocacy, Bible engagement, and holistic ministry. All right, and this is it right here. You can email them, and they got a YouTube channel, everything, so you can see. It says who, where, how. Then it goes into English. However, what I really want you guys to see, it's not really this per se. I want you to see this. I want you to see their, here we go. Let's go here. All right, let me bring this up on the screen. Oh, y'all can see it already. Okay, cool. All right, so this is United Bible Societies. I'll drop the link in the chat in case anybody's interested in going there. All right. JP, it's up to you. I prefer the NKJV because out of the three translations that they offer, the NRSV, the NKJV, and the NIV. So the NIV is more of a dynamic equivalency translation, which means the translators are looking at the original text and they're trying to find the best thought-for-thought translation. And sometimes this is really good for preserving the idioms from one language and translating the idiom to another direct idiom of the translated language, okay? However, there are formal equivalency translations, which will be your NKJV, which is more word for word, right? So it looks at the text and tries to translate it as best as it can, word for word. All right. It may not hold the same syntax because Hebrew syntax differs from English syntax. However, it tries to match it up as much as it can word for word. All right. Now, the NRSV, RSV is really held by the Catholic Church. They use that translation a lot. So, I mean, it's just up to you. And I think that one is closer to a more what's called formal equivalency translation. OK. So anyway, on. All right, looks like it just dropped me out. Don't know what just happened. I apologize for that, but let me bring it back to where we was at. Let me zoom in some. All right, this site is provided by the United Bible Society as a resource to the global Bible translation community. We are committed to developing and providing tools and resources that contribute and improve the quality of Bible translation. United Bible Societies at World Fellowship of Bible Societies committed to translation, publication, and distribution of the Bible worldwide. The demanding task of Bible translation requires scholarship and expertise in the areas of biblical studies, theory and practice of translation, communication, linguistics, and anthropology. The UBS is providing the resources on this website as a contribution to the global Bible translation community with the hope that these materials will contribute to high-quality Bible translations, enhance the productivity of those involved in the Bible translation task, and so speed the provision of the Word of God to the world. All right. So I like this because there's a wealth of resources here, a wealth of resources, okay, that you can leverage. I normally use them for the bibliographies. You can search through the various Bible translations as well. You can search through their commentaries, the canons that they have, the Septuagint, language depth, writing systems. All right. But I normally leverage them for their lexicon here, the Semantic Dictionary of Biblical Hebrew, as you can see here on the screen. All right. And click here to the dictionary, or you can go to the background and give you some information behind it. But this is one of my favorite lexicons that I like to use. All right. Okay. So we got the word here, eb. You have your aleph, zere, and you have your bait, and you have your eb, and that is, as they see, they translated here, is blossom of flower. You have be'eb, right? So just wanted to share that with y'all. Right, let me see if I can find, is there another resource I want to show y'all? I think that's it for now. We'll get into other stuff as we progress through the show. All right. So Maisha Manyfield said, what about the Geneva 1560? What do you mean, what about it? Are you asking me, is that a good Bible to get, or whatever the case may be? Let me know if that's what you're asking, sis. I'm not sure. Shout out to my brother Dimitri Elder in the building. Keith W says, when you can, please answer this one. Really a few questions for me. Okay. What question did you leave up there? I didn't see your question. Shout out to Yahweh Stop, Son of Light, Q Israel in the building. He says, you still coming to Houston? Well, I explained that earlier in the session. I said that I want us to come to Houston, but we also have Houston and Raleigh. I want to try to go to both. If I can't go to both, then I'm going to have to pick one or the other. And it just depends on where the interest is higher at, where the people are at most. So Maisha Manyfield, hopefully I'm saying your name right. Well, the Geneva 1560 Bible predates the King James version, the 1611 authorized version. And then it was a later version that came out after that. However, I don't use that Bible, and I normally don't recommend nobody to use that Bible either. I prefer to use something that's more modern, and the reason why is because most modern translations, or what's called critical edition Bibles, they include a wealth of footnotes that are there to show you a variety of different things. I'll probably go over something real quick, and something that was a consensus at one point, but now is being discussed in academia as really maybe not being a consensus anymore. And I'll show you that in 1 second, what the importance is of using critical edition Bibles. All right. Y'all, what's up? Yes, the Net Bible is great. The Net Bible is awesome. Okay. That's also a great resource, man. Because like he said, it's 61,000 footnotes. Yes. If so, the Net Bible, let me see if I can pull it up here. Net Bible is excellent, man. Let me show it to you here on the screen so you can take a look. All right. All right, here's the Net Bible. All right. Let me pull it up on the screen. Again, this is what we do in these classes. We show you resource after resource after resource. Okay. All right. So here's the Net Bible right here. As you can see, you can go right here. It's called netbible.org. I'll drop the link in the chat so you can get access to it yourselves. All right. There it is. All right. And again, you'll see these notes. So here you see where this 1 is at. You see a 2 here. These are all your footnotes. Okay. All right. So right here. So you go over here on the right and you see the note. See the note right here? By the wife of Uriah, i.e. Bathsheba. Right. Let me see if there's another good one over here. Let's see. 12, 19. Let's see this footnote right here. Send her away, and the Jews' council full betrothal was so binding that was breaking and required a certificate of divorce, and the death of one party made the other a widow widower, right? So I don't know if y'all can see it. It might be kind of small if you're on the phone. However, the Net Bible is awesome. So that's another great resource as well. Thank you for sharing that, Yawasop. Okay. And that's what we do here. We encourage this type of scholarship and methodology when it comes to researching the text. Okay. All right. So again, we give these resources out at no cost. I mean, it's just that when you take our classes, that's reserving time so I can devote myself to giving you one-on-one attention to these classes and the information, right? On our Patreon, we have tons of sources that you can see, tons of books and articles, giveaways, exclusives, all types of stuff is on the Patreon, right? So these resources will share it. I'll put up the Net Bible on the Patreon so you guys can see it, as well as UBS. All right. Because we also have a part of the Patreon where we feature certain websites. Like we gave you one for Near Eastern cuneiform tablets, Sumerian tablets. We gave you, and that was because it's people in the Nubian community and people that follow Zechariah Stitchin, and use that ancient aliens approach to the text. And if you go back and read the text, like their misuse of the term Nibiru is crazy misuse of the term Nibiru. However, we have the primary, so you can go back in there and see what it says itself. And we have a lot of commentaries from the ancient Near East. People don't even know that. There's commentaries of text from the ancient Near East. So that website that I placed on the Patreon gives you that. We have the one if you want to go and look at the manuscripts of the New Testament, all the Greek manuscripts of the New Testament. And we have one that we show you that shows you all the manuscripts of the Dead Sea Scrolls and various other tools. All that stuff is on the Patreon. And when we dive into these Bible study, quote unquote, classes, we show you all of these tools, right? Make sure you have access to all these tools. We show you how to use the tools, and we show you how to best exegete what's in the text. Okay. Because I'm telling you, I mean, everybody should have access to these things, but I like to make people aware. So Sister Maisha Manisfield says, I have the interlinear Hebrew, Greek, English. Excellent. That's good. Interlinears are the best tools for those who are learning the language. I love interlinears because I like to see, the mechanical translation of the original language. I just love interlinears. However, you can get to the point where you can start to read the text without the interlinear. All right. The interlinear should just be a help or a guide until you actually learn the language. Okay. So I love interlinears. Matter of fact, we got a Hebrew interlinear. Matter of fact, let me show it to you guys. Hold on. I'm just going to give it to you. Let me just show it to you guys. Okay. Let me show it to you guys. All right. Check this out. I'm going to show you the best interlinears. All right. We have the Hebrew one on the Patreon. All right, let me bring it up here on the screen so you can see it. You can order this straight from Amazon. All right, let me show it to you. All right, here it is. the Hebrew English Interlinear ESV Old Testament, Biblia Hebraica Stuttgartensia, right? BHS, and that's the standard academic Hebrew text that they use, right? And there's also a Greek one I'm showing you in a second, all right? So this is an excellent interlinear. This is what you want to buy. It's showing this here for $74.54. Yes, it's getting more expensive. However, it's worth every penny, okay? And let me show you guys. Keep looking. Look on the screen, right? I'm going to go here. And I'm going to show you the one to get for the New Testament. Those of you who follow New Testament, this is the best one here. The Greek, English, Interlinear ESV, New Testament, the Nestle Allen Novum Testamentum Grace NA 28, which is the latest standard they use for the standard Hebrew text in academia, and ESV translation. Okay. Let me show you guys what it actually looks like inside. And I'm going to show you the resource that we offer on the Patreon. So that way you can learn enough of the essentials of the language to follow the actual interlinear itself, right? Okay, so check it out. Let me show it to y'all, all right? Again, this is what we do. If you're brand new, you just stumble upon a gem in the community, all right? And when I say a gem, I'm talking about me particularly. I'm talking about what we share and what we offer on this community, on this channel, on this platform. Let me show it to you real quick, all right? First, let me show you these resources that you want to get. Again, you can join our Patreon. You can pledge $20 or more and get access to my Biblical Hebrew Essentials for Laymen and my Biblical Greek Essentials for Laymen. I actually own those products, and you can get to stream it for free. And pretty much anybody who's a layman that wants to use these tools, it equips you to do that. Once you pass the course and you get really good, then you want to migrate over into the Biblical Hebrew, basics of Biblical Hebrew and basics of Biblical Greek, which will pretty much cover most of your first year Greek and part of your second year Greek. And then from there, you could take some online courses that I recommend if you really want to get heavier into the language. That's the courses. That's the paths that I took to trying to learn the language myself, right? And I'm still sharpening myself every day on the language. However, on the Patreon, we give you access to a lot of these tools, right? So check it out. All right. So here on the Patreon, all right, when you join for $20 or more and you pledge, you get the Biblical Hebrew Essentials, right? And $20 again will give you access to Biblical Greek Essentials when you pledge $20 or more. And these are video courses strictly for laymen, giving them enough of the language so they can make their way through the tools, right? And you're going to need this as a precursor to our studies, or during the studies, I'm gonna teach you a lot of the essentials, a lot of the basics, and a lot of the improved intermediate levels. I'm not going to touch too heavily on intermediate levels, only because we have a variety audience. We got teenagers to people in their 80s that are wanting to join this course. So we have to make sure that everything that we share is enough that they can grasp. So we're not going to get too technical with it, but we're going to go enough into the language, the culture, the customs, the history, sister cultures, material culture, living cultures, like anything that we can grasp for you to better interpret what the text is saying without the need to lean on commentaries. However, commentaries can be good. I don't like Christian commentaries a lot, but they can be good in certain instances, like the Cultural Background Study Bible has some great commentary. However, without these essentials, it'll be difficult to follow the discussion in the commentaries, right? And I'm gonna show you one thing on here later on when we get to it, why it's important. But we have these courses that you can get free access to for signing up to our Patreon. You get access to this as well as tons of other books that we offer in here. It's invaluable. We try to get back as much as we can so that people can get the most out of their investment in what we do here. So we're not lazy on our Patreon. As you can see, we have almost 200 posts, and we're going to be adding more weekly. Okay. So let me give you some insights. So you can check out what one of these interlinears look like. Let me show it to y'all real quick. All right. I'm going to give y'all feature the Hebrew one. You can take a look at it. All right, so here it is on the screen. Throw it up. All right, here it is. Okay, let me zoom in so you can see. Okay, this is the Hebrew version. Okay, this is what you call a reverse interlinear. All right, as you can know, Hebrew is written from right to left. And you can see here, it gives you the direct English translation of what we see up here. There's a lot of things you got to learn. You got to learn the 7 major verbal inflections or verbal forms or stems or shoresh, whatever you want to call them. You got to know person, gender, and number when you're looking at verbs and noun agreements. You have adverbs, adjectives. We go into things such as what are gutturals and how do you identify gutturals? What are weak verbs? All right. We have conjunctions. You got to look at prepositions, prepositional clauses, inseparable prepositions like this bait right here. There's a lot of things that you will learn as you go through those essentials courses. So when I start opening up these interlinears and we go through the language, we can start to break down what we see there, as well as pronunciation and things of that nature. Over here on the far right, you have your direct English translation, all right, which reads with the same syntax as English. However, here's the mechanical Hebrew translation, okay? So this is extremely important. And one of the things that was asked when we went into Genesis, I brought up the cultural background study Bible, where it talked about the waters that are above and the waters that are below, and the firmament, right, that kept the waters from above from coming down low. And even if you look at the actual word Shemayim, right, just like Misraim, Shemayim, right? This indicates with your patach, your mem patach, your yod, your hirik, and your mem, final mem, okay? Shemayim can also refer to a dual plural, which means the waters above and the waters below. So there's waters above the firmament, waters right below the firmament, okay? And you'll see when the separation and things are happening, you get better understanding of what's going on once you start to learn the language. And you've seen some of that in the cultural background study Bible that I showed you earlier, okay? When you go through those essential courses, it will help you to follow what it is that we're doing here. Shout out to my brother Vernon Mickey for the donation. I appreciate that. All right. And again, you get to follow this. So I never want you to go to any YouTube video and have people talk over your head. Okay. I always want you to have the methodology and the resources and the tools to be able to figure out what they're talking about. And I believe that everybody should have access to that, because this is a personal walk and you want to have everything at your disposal to make sure you're going down the right path. Okay. So in the absence of a divine prospect, you don't need me for this. I'll teach and train you how to use these tools and resources, and you can take it from there. All right. So again, we try to add these things onto as much as we can in our Patreon and on this channel at no cost, just for people to learn. Okay. And this is why we want to do the classes. We started classes like this back in 2015. We did it for a year, and then I stopped. I haven't gone back since, but by popular demand, I do want to return to them. Okay. All right. So again, the key word there is heavens, dual plural, heavens, and haaretz, and the earth. All right. Definite article, ha, earth, aretz, or land. All right. Which is interesting because sometimes you'll see in the English translations in the beginning, there's no definite article there, because you'd have a patach underneath your bait, which indicates the absence of the he, which would be a definite article, which would be ba reshit, but that's not what it says. It says be reshit with the shewa underneath the bait, right? That's called the inseparable preposition. Okay. So again, when you get into the language, you see these nuances, right? Just like your direct object marker, because you have things that point to the object. You also have these things also in the Greek when you have noun inflections. All right. When you see the subscript iota and other things like that, you'll be able to determine what's going on in these noun inflections, so you can understand the syntax of the actual clause that you're reading. Okay. All right. So again, I'm hoping that this is edifying to the family, these tools, these resources. We're about to get into some information, and I just want to make sure you all have your seatbelt strapped up as we go in. All right. Shout out to the Village Faction for the donation. I truly appreciate that, my brother. Shout out to Gather of Nations for the donation. Of course, of course. All right. Here, so Ile A says, if the Greek aion is a proper noun that means an age, why is aionion, which is an objective, translated as eternal in the Brit Hadashah? Excellent question. Now, all translations don't translate it as eternal. Some translate eternal. A few does the ages. Some even use the word the universe, which is to me a bad translation. However, there is commentary discourses on this, right? As to why that's the case. Now, I don't agree with a lot of them. However, they make some good points. So what I will do for you is join the class. So when you get in the class, you can bring up this passage in Hebrews and we can go into the language, go into the commentaries, go into other resources and try and figure out what's going on there so we can understand why we have the translations that we have today, right? A lot of these translators for a lot of the modern versions are still alive. They've written papers on it. I subscribe to academia.edu. I read a lot of their papers on their translation notes, prefaces that they have in there, even some video interviews that they do on YouTube where they actually talk about this. I've been to 3 different conferences where they actually talk on these things and, glean from that. And whatever I acquire, I like to give back to the community. You know what I'm saying? But that's an excellent question. That's why when I argue from that, I never say universe. And I said, no. Let's look at it for where it says ion, and then you see the inflection. There's an inflection. There's a verb. There's an adjectival noun inflection there, which is your on, which you have at the end, your omicron and your nu. Okay, so I want to bring that out, and at the same time, I want y'all to check out the essential courses. The essential courses will give you everything you need as a layman. So when we go through these tools, you can follow along. That's why I've made it available. Okay, I made it available. All right. Shout out. Thank you, my brother, for the donation. I appreciate that. All right. So let's keep going. Shout out to Sister Noelia in the building. What's going on? You see, Sister Shan, she know the deal. When she says case endings, you got to know what is the aorist tense, what is the first, second, and aorist, what are declensions, what is verbal inflection, noun inflections. Greek is weird because you can have, your object. So you have your accusative, you have your dative, which could be your indirect object, your accusative, which is your direct object, your genitive, which is your possessive, and your nominative, which is your subject, right? So you got to be able to find these things. And in Greek, it could be all over the place. It could be, you can have the direct object here, and you have the object here, or you have the object here, direct object here, and you can have the nominative or the subject here, and then you have the verb right before it. And you're like, what's going on? But when you look at these case endings and you see inflections, you can start to figure out what's going on. And then when you see certain words placed together, it's called syntax. You start to follow. Oh, okay, I see what this. Oh, I can't see what that. Look at your iota subscript, and okay, I know what that is indicating. You'll be able to follow. That's what those courses are there for. The courses are there to prep you for that. Okay, it's there to prep you for that. But that's why I don't like Greek. Hebrew is a little more static. However, there are some nuances in Hebrew that throw me off all the time, which is weird. I'm not at the advanced level yet. However, I do like to read papers written by people at that level so I can kind of follow what's going on until I get there. You know what I'm saying? But I know enough to make my way through it and to teach others where I'm at. But again, this is what we're going to do with courses. You're going to see. We're going to read a whole text in Hebrew. We're going to follow the pronunciations. We're going to look to see, okay, where's the accusative? All right. Okay, where's the nominative? Okay, it's right here. Okay, where is the direct object marker? It's pointing to the object. We don't have that in English. That's why et is no direct translation in English. There's no need for it. But these things, these features, you'll find out in the language. All right. And these are extremely important in order for you to understand. A lot of dogma is killed when you learn the language. A lot of dogma is killed when you learn the customs. A lot of dogma is killed when you understand the history and the background of the text. A lot of dogma is killed when you understand the ancient Near Eastern motifs. It kills these things. All right. Wide Awake says, I'm too young in the truth to keep up with this. No, you're not. No, you're not, my brother. If you go back and check out all of these videos that we do, there's tons of resources. See, I teach at a particular level where I want to raise the bar, but not raise it too high that I miss a lot of the audience. I give you enough technical stuff with some layman stuff. I mix it in so you can follow, but then I give you the resources. So when this camera goes off, you can go and read it for yourself. And this is how we have to hold anybody in our community teaching accountable. Say, look, what are your sources for that? What's your methodology? What steps did you take to do this? All right. They should provide that for you so they can give you an honest interpretation of a passage. Okay. It's extremely important. All right. So I'm just saying. So just call me Tex. You see this? The Biblical Hebrew Institute in Israel. That is what I suggest if you guys want to start taking courses as well, like online university courses where you actually get college credits. All right. I used to post that up in some descriptions like a year or so ago and, give you $100 off when you use my referral code. All right. But I'm going to mention that when we get into the classes in case anybody wants to get more heavier into the language. OK, so just call me Tex. I'm glad that you're doing that. That's extremely important. But again, Wide Awake, you're never too young in this information to learn. You can keep up. The tools are there. We're going to provide the methodology. Matter of fact, go back and check out my Sukkot video. All right. Check out the video I did for Sukkot, and you'll see some of the approach that we take in understanding what's going on in the text. All right. Go ahead and check that out. All right. All right. So let us transition. Shout out to Sis LDS in the building. What's going on? Let's move forward. Let's move forward. Let's move forward. I know we lollygagging a little bit, but we about to get into some more information. What I wanted to bring out today is daimonion, right? So daimonion, or the root that we have, daimonios. You have the os, that's your nominative, singular, masculine, okay? You'll see this form and for its lexical value. You say, what are you talking about? So when you go into, like, for example, Blue Letter Bible does not show you verbal and noun inflections. It doesn't show you a lot of syntax. It just gives you the lexical value or the root or the shoresh semantic range of a particular word. And it gives it to you in a particular form. It's called its absolute form. Okay. And the absolute form is really what you're going to see as a lexical entry in regards to looking things up in a lexicon. Okay. But when you learn the language, you see how that word is transformed. You know, and this is morphology, how it looks, how it's transformed when it's actually playing along in an actual sentence. Right. And you can follow it. But there's enough tools that we provide so that way you can make your way to do these things. And you can understand these things, right? I want to make sure everybody is equipped so that they can do this. All right. All right. So let me get into daimonion. I want to show you guys something real quick. To preface it, we're supposed to have this debate, like 2 weeks or so ago with Jeremiah Judah, Black Jesus Minister. It was me and Brother Don, but he couldn't do it. So Elder Yashar stepped up, but then he stepped out. Don stepped back in. We were supposed to have it on Thursday. However, my power went out because it was a storm out here in Atlanta, or Greater Atlanta, where I'm at. So my power went out, so I was not able to prepare the way I wanted to do it. So we rescheduled it for Sunday evening. Now, just so you know, I already know the dogmatic approach. Now, it's crazy because the way he worded this particular debate, I thought was really strange because he's trying to straw man me into a position, but it's okay. I have a particular focus, and I'm going to look on the development of this word daimonion from classical Greek all the way to patristic sources and everything else in between to show you how this word, you know, transition from this point to that point, and various connotations added to it till we get to that final restrictive connotation of daimonion from the patristic sources where it became something entirely negative. However, in classical Greek and during the Hellenistic period, when the Jews were writing works, it did not have that stigmatic semantic value. Okay, it didn't have that lexical form. Okay, shout out to Willie Little John for the donation. Thank you so much, my brother. I appreciate that. All right. So one of the goals that we do here, for those I see, there's a lot of new people in here, that we do here is we try to undermine dogma. Right? Dogma is pretty much any established doctrine by a church that is expected to be held as incontrovertibly true, right? When you look at Christian orthodoxy or Jewish orthodoxy, they don't want you to step outside their norm, okay? Because when you do that, they say that you're squabbling with heresy, but that's not the case. What we try to do is look at things objectively so that way we can best discern what it is that we're taking in that we want to apply to our everyday life. All right. So with this situation with dogmas has weighed down our community so that now this idea of a demon becomes so misplaced. It becomes it's a misnomer now for things that phenomenon people are identifying. It's really crazy what the evangelical Christian community has done with this term demon. However, they do not understand it in its original context. Because if they did, they would not be misapplying it. And I realized that most of them don't even read patristic sources, which are the church fathers, to understand how they transformed through their diatribes with their opponents, how they transformed and restricted the meaning of that term. But we're going to get into it. I'm going to show you guys something interesting. Again, I have a debate coming up, so I can't show you everything, because if I show all my hand, JJ and I'm going to watch this video and try to rebut everything, but I'm going to lay it on them smooth. I'm going to give you just enough. But check this out. First, I'm going to give you some layman resources to get some insight into the text. And I'm gonna give you some other resources, right? I'm gonna give you two lexical entries. And then from there, I'm going to give you from an actual text that talks about it generally. But I want to get you to understand what this daimonion is. All right, what this is. This is extremely important. Okay. And when I say daimonion, again, I'm using a noun inflection. All right. Because of the ending on it, which is our omicron and our nu. Right. But check this out. Let me show you something real quick. All right. Let's go through it. Here we go. Right. So this right here is from Online Etymology Dictionary. And I love this resource, man. I love this resource. But let's check it out. Let's follow it. All right. Let me zoom in. Right. It says demon, circa 1200, an evil spirit, malignant, supernatural being, and incubus, a demon, from Latin daemon, spirit from the Greek daemon, which is a deity, divine power, lesser god, guiding spirit, tutelary deity. Keep that in mind. When this word was instituted, okay, in classical Greek, when it's usage, this is what it means. If we maintain that same usage and put it into the New Testament, it maintains the same usage. When you go into the Septuagint and see the words in Hebrew that are translated as this word, if you use this definition from the Greek daemon, a deity, divine power, lesser god, guiding spirit, tutelary spirit, you'll see a totally different facet of what the intention was by the writer. See, we get some nuanced interpretation of this along the way, such as the book of Tobit, right? Asmodeus and Tobit. This is very interesting when you read that text. Is really one of the things that really stand out in regards to the use of this term that actually starts to develop into what we see in the patristic sources. But we're going to get into that in a few. And also using the book of Enoch is what some of the church fathers, notably John Martyr, used in regards to equate fallen angels. There's no such thing as fallen angels. That doesn't exist in the book of Enoch. Okay. That is a term that was coined. That we don't find that in the book of Enoch, but they said these fallen angels, and sometimes people say these are the Nephilim. That's incorrect. Michael Heiser even broke that down. And they said that these are the daimonion. These are the demons. This is what the church father says. Origen did it. Justin Martyr did it. They started to restrict, right, the semantic range and value of this particular term. And us killing dogma, okay, we remove that, all right, so that you can better interpret the text. And I'm going to show you this before we done. And again, this is a snippet, it's a sample, because I have to continue preparing for this because I have a debate on Sunday. Now, when I do this debate on Sunday, because I have a teammate, we have limited time, I'm not going to be able to get everything out. However, I'm going to lay down the groundwork for other people to study. I'm not even worried about rebutting or refuting what the opponents are doing. I'm pretty much laying out a ton of stuff that they gonna have to deal with at some other time. They're not gonna have the opportunity to microwave that in the debate. It's just not gonna happen, okay? But I'm gonna show you guys some stuff, so follow me. Sometimes including souls of the dead, one's genius, lot, or fortune. You hear that? Genius. Goes back to a Latin word. I bet y'all didn't know what that Latin word for genius means. We're gonna back up. But the case is one's genius, lot, or fortune. Why? Because these intermediary, lesser deities, guidance, they lead one to fortune. They help to guide one's fortune, guide one's lot. Okay. It comes from the root daimon, which means a divider or a provider of fortunes or destinies, from the root da, which means to divide. Keep this in mind. See, when you don't read classical Greek, which I hate worse than, I like Koine Greek a little more than classic Greek is extremely technical. Okay, Koine Greek, Koine meaning common. I can pull that up. But when I started getting into this classical, I said, man, this stuff is deep, right? I need a whole course on that, right? However, it's almost like looking at I would say Middle English and the English we have today. That's like how it is. You understand what I'm saying? So, but however, you can still make your way through if you know some Greek, right? So going into it and reading some of Homer's work and all, you'd be like, yo, what? This is what demon means? And then now when Josephus uses the term to refer to the Most High, yeah, Josephus used the term to refer to the Most High. Did y'all know that? Oh, y'all didn't know that. You see, they're going to have to deal with this. when we do the debate, and I pull up the source. He called the Most High a daemon, a demon. Anyway, but when you have this Judeo-Christian interpretation of the term based on its restrictive semantic value that developed during the patristic era, church fathers era, then your lens in which you view this becomes narrow-minded. And its application, its true application, the intended application of it becomes misapplied in reality and becomes very dangerous, okay? It says the malignant sense is because the Greek word was used with daimonion in Christian Greek translations, keep that in mind, and the Vulgate for God of the heathen, heathen idol, and also for unclean spirit. Jewish authors earlier had employed the Greek word in this sense, using it to render shedim, and we have a dagesh in the middle of the dalet, which means it doubles the D, but we're going to get in that in a second. Shedim, and they say it means Lord's idols in the Septuagint in Matthew 8:31, sometimes daimones, translated as deophal in Old English, fiend or devil in Middle English. Another Old English word is the word helknit, literally hell knight. The usual ancient Greek sense, supernatural agent or intelligence lower than a god, ministering spirits, is attested in English from the 1560s, around when the time when that Geneva Bible the sister brought up, and it's sometimes written as daemon or daemon for purposes of distinction. That's important because the Christian use of the term demon and daemon, because the Christians were using demon, D-E-M-O-N, a particular way, in order for people who are linguists and identify, making distinctions between the ancient usage and the more modern usage, they have to write it as D-A-E-M-O-N. All right, meaning destructive or hideous persons is from the 1610s as an evil agency personified. Do you hear this? It developed, and the development that we get in English comes back from the church fathers to the Middle Ages to the medieval period, all the way into the modern period of the age of reason, all the way into today's time period. So much transformation has occurred. It's crazy. However, if we go back to its original value, lexical value, as we see in classical Greek, as we see Greek that's even used when we go into the Septuagint, which helps as well, and other Jewish Greek works, I say Jewish Greek or Greek works written by Jews, that we get the Apocrypha, right, which was also found in the Roman Catholic Bibles, etc., and some early 1611 editions, whatnot. But we see the development of this. Now, when we get to the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament, now things start to get a little different. Keep this in mind. When we start to see things as these daemons being casted out. Well, what are these daemons? How do people get these spirits? How do these spirits attack? So the thing that I know is very difficult for my opponents to answer is how does a person get possessed? How does a person get possessed? And when they're possessed, how do you cast that demon out? How do you do that? See, if you don't understand what's going on, you may think you're doing something, but you're really not. You're actually using a form of what they call witchcraft from an alternate culture in order to do that, because other cultures have ways to deal with daemons as well. We're just talking about the one strictly from the Israelite perspective. But check this out. Check this out, right? Let me bring this up. I want to show you something, okay? Here's another source. Is it showing on the screen? Let me make sure it's showing on the screen. No, it's not showing on the screen. Hold on. Let me show you something else. Check it out, okay? All right. Demon, in religion, folklore, mythology, a demon is a supernatural being of malevolent intent or a fallen angel not following God. Now, again, that is Christian-inspired definition of the term. Many religions speak of demonic forces, with the cosmos representing the antithesis of truth and goodness, forces which are ultimately vanquished in the triumph of good or evil, blah, 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 blah. Now, let's keep going. Most religions and cultures of the world accept the existence of demons, while modern secularists regard belief in demons as superstition. I'm also going to bring out articles that deal with the demon phenomenon by means of psychiatry. It's deep, right? Because there's a distinction in regards to what's going on in the text. When Yeshua is said to be demon possessed, I say this man has a demon, he's mad, because when people were under the influences of these tutelary spirits, these spirit guides, they would babble and be incoherent. All right, I'm going to stop there. It's deep. I'm going to stop there, but let's keep going. Demons are frequently depicted as spirits that may be conjured and insecurely controlled through the practice of exorcisms. The alleged power to possess living creatures and dangerously influence human behavior is regarded by many Christians as a cause of mental illness, although such beliefs are rejected by mainstream psychology, right? In common language, to demonize a person means to characterize or portray them as evil or as a source of evil. Again, this is what they said about Yeshua. They said, oh, he casts out demons by way of Beelzebub. Well, why would he be casting out demons by way of Beelzebub? Well, Beelzebub is a high-ranking demon, right? A high-ranking deity. There's lesser deities under him that report to him, okay? And if you go back into the text for 2 Kings chapter 1, we see that in Ekron, that Beelzebub was a major deity at Ekron, and it was a divination deity. It was a fortune-giving deity. Okay, that's deep. Let's keep going. Let me show it to you. The word demon derives from the Greek daimon, which itself comes from diestai, meaning to divide, distribute. The Proto-Indo-European roots deos for God, originally an adjective meaning celestial or bright shine. And keep this in mind, has retained this meaning in many related Indo-European languages and Indo-European cultures in Sanskrit, Latin, Lithuanian, etc., but also provided another common word for demon in Avestan deva. Though the modern Greek word daemon has the same meaning as the modern English demon, it should be noted that in ancient Greece, check this out, daimon that we see there, right, meant spirit or higher self, much like the Latin genius. Did you know genius means your higher self? All right, and this was influenced by the deities, the lesser deities, the intermediary deities. They believed that great men, when they died, their spirit left, the spirit stayed on. Well, that's interesting because in the book of Enoch, these Nephilim, when they died, a tenth of them, their spirit lived on. You know, when the text says in book of Bereshit, chapter 6, it says men of renown, men of old. Those are the ones when they died, their spirits lived on. Those were the part of the Nephilim. Okay. All right. This is deep. And when you understand who these so-called watchers are, these Ben Elohim, these sons of God, and understand that these were the intermediary entities between the greater deities and humans, and that their job was to observe and report. Hey, you remember when you go to the book of Job, and you see in the book of Job, it says that Ben Elohim came to present themselves before YHWH, and the adversary came alongside them. Well, that's what they're doing. They were watching and reporting, watching and reporting, watching and reporting. That's when we open up the book of Enoch. You see these angels, these 200. I don't know. We don't know if they're demigods. We don't know if they're intermediate spirits. We don't know if they're half human, half God. We don't know what they are. But however, whoever they are, their job was to watch and report, watch and report. And they were over different groups and classes and territories, as we see in Devarim chapter 32. Okay. But let me keep reading. Demons are described in the Tanakh are not the same as demons commonly known in popular or Christian culture. Keep that theme in mind. That is absolutely true. However, when we go back to retranslate this thing back into the New Testament, you'll see like, wow, that's good. That fits. When you understand it. Remember I told you about the word unclean in Hebrew. It's very interesting. You see the term unclean spirits. You see those dudes going into the tombs, committing necromancy, coming out with spirits on them. Anytime that Israelites stepped outside the boundaries of Torah, they subjugated themselves to other powers, because now the other powers have jurisdiction over them, and they stepped out the bounds of jurisdiction that the Most High has over them or chooses to have over them, right? It says those in the Hebrew Bible are of two classes, the Serim, and the Shedim. The Serim, hairy beings, really a goat, right? Or one that's hairy, to which some Israelites offer sacrifices in the open fields, and satyr-like creatures described as dancing in the wilderness. That is heavy. I must probably try to bring some of that on Sunday. Isaiah 13, 21, 34, and 14, and which are identical with the jinn, such as the Dantalion, the 71st spirit of Solomon, possibly to the same class of beings of what? Azazel, you know, the one that you give the scapegoat to in Vayikra chapter 16 and Leviticus chapter 16, the goat-like demons of the wilderness, because they're called the rugged ones, is deep. When you see the word Seir, well, what do you think Esau lived at? Well, we're going to get into Esau in a second. This is heavy. Follow. Probably the chief of the Se'irim and Lilith, what they said is Isaiah 34:14, but that's dubious. Possibly the roes and hinds of the field by which Shulamite conjures the daughters of Jerusalem to bring her back to her lover. Canticles 2-7, 3, and 5, and fawn-like spirits similar to the Se'irim, though of a harmless nature. That's important. Shadim are demons that are mentioned in Psalms 106:37. The word Shadim is plural for demons. Should say demons. Figures that represent Shadim are the Shedu. We also see Sedu also in Assyrian of Babylonian mythology. Check this out. These figures, keep this in mind because I'm going to show you in the lexicon that this word Shedu is similar to the Assyrian word, which represents the bull colossus. Check this out. These figures are depicted as anthropomorphic winged bulls associated with wind. They were thought to guard palaces, cities, houses, and temples. In magical texts of that era, they could either be malevolent or benevolent. The cult was said to include human sacrifice as part of its practice. Now, let's slow down here. Let's slow down. These were protective spirits of other cultures. Just like your cherubim, your seraphim, which are the fiery ones. You know, these were the fiery ones that was biting them. That's different. We're going to stay out of that. You know, when they was in the wilderness, they disobeyed. He sent these fiery ones, these seraphim. He said the seraphim to go and bite them. Whatever. Anyway, so you got the one that, you know, when Adam and Eve was excommunicated from out the garden, then you had some kind of spirit that was there that had a sword to keep them out. It was guarding that area. So the problem is when we look at this term and we add all these connotations to it that developed through patristic sources, Middle Ages, medieval thought, it added all these grotesque things and all of this additional stuff to it. I'm going to show you another book that's a great read too that y'all need to read in regards to this. But what I'm trying to simply explain to you guys, and I can't give it all now, I'm going to wait till we have the debate, I'm going to bring some stuff out, is it's not what you think. Okay? So check this out. The word for Shadim, let me give it to you in a cross-reference, okay? Check this out. Oh, Divine, we got to burn you at the stake, brother. What is you talking about? Show it to y'all, okay? Let me show it to y'all. And I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you something, a cross-reference in the New Testament so you can see that it is definitely congruent. All right? All right. So when we get to, let me bring it up here so you guys can take a look at it. Let me go to, let's see. Vayikra chapter 17-7. Keep that in mind because that goes with what I'm going to get in 1 Corinthians. But let's hold that. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 20. There's a very stark relationship there. Okay, very stark relationship there. Okay. So let's check it out. Let me show it to y'all. Let me bring it up on the screen. Deuteronomy 32:17. All right, check this out. Let me show it to y'all. Hold on. All right, so here it says they sacrificed to demons that were no gods, to gods they have never known, to new gods that had come recently, whom your fathers have dreaded. If you go up here, it says they stirred him to jealousy with strange gods. Now, what do you mean by strange? Well, a stranger, ben nakar, gar. You have all these words for strangers, foreigner, you know, goy. The strange meaning something outside of a particular group. Right? An individual or another group outside of a particular group. So the strange gods would be a deity of another culture. When you go to Deuteronomy chapter 32, matter of fact, let's scroll up. And all of this is connected. This is why I think people get disconnected, because they read here and they don't understand how to translate this, right? Because we say here, we translate this as when the Most High gave to the nations their inheritance, when he divided mankind, when he fixed their borders. FN is your footnote. This is the ESV translation. And this right here is what's called the Critical Edition Bible, because it gives you these footnotes of the peoples. And it also gives you here what? A textual variant, right? Dead Sea Scrolls, Septuagint, and Masoretic text, it says sons of Israel. But they're pulling this, they're pulling this from the Dead Sea Scroll. However, when you go into the Masoretic text, it says sons of Israel. But if you go to the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Septuagint, it reads similar to this. I'm going to show you, it's deep. Sons of God is what it should be translated as. When you do deductive reasoning or deductive analysis using deductive reasoning, doing textual criticism, looking at 3 different family types or text types, and you compare them and you deduce them, it comes down to sons of El. Now, the reason why it's important is because when you go back to the Ugaritic epics, the sons of El, 70 sons of El, right, were created by the patron deity of those people, which is El. El was the patron deity of the Levantine region, okay? So what we get in the Ugaritic text is one vantage point of this patron deity El. What we get in the Israelite text is another vantage point of this patron deity El, okay? What I want you to understand is that this divine counsel that we talk about, that you see in Bereshit chapter 1:1 or Genesis chapter 1:1, is what we're seeing here, where when he divided mankind, he fixed the borders of the people. He does it according to the number of the sons of God, so the divine council members, all of them reside over a particular group of people. We see this in Judges chapter 11. I brought this out before. Now, the reason why this is important is because they were, these peoples and borders were divided to these deities. So what happens is when you go down, it says, but YHWH's portion is people. Jacob has a lot of heritage. YHWH chose out Yisrael and chose out a plan for a land for them, a land allotment. And we see that in Judges chapter 11. And we also see that in the Chumash, right? We see that he's calling him, saying, I'm going to give you this land. He says it first to Abraham, and then later on he tells Moses when he delivers them out, right? Now, when you look at this consistently as a thread and you line it all the way down and you keep jumping, this is where it says he's the apple of his eye. But check this out. Keep going. Where it says they stirred him to jealousy. After he's saying that Israel was the apple of his eye and all this other stuff. However, Israel, they stirred him to jealousy with strange powers. With abomination, they provoked his anger. Again, they are going after the other powers that they did not originally covenant. Once YHWH covenant with this people, they're his. Okay? So whatever he chooses to do with them or whatever he decides is going to happen to them, it's up to him to discern or decide their fate. Remember, I told you a daemon is one that guides the fate or the fortune. It divides it. So YHWH was considered a daemon, and this is the language that Josephus uses. When you understand it, it said they sacrificed to Shedim. Remember, you saw the word Shedu or Sedu from the Babylonian and the Assyrian. And what does that mean if we go into a lexicon? Does it give us anything in there? So you have different types of lexicon. The reason why I like using the enhanced Brown Driver Briggs is because it does a comparison with other Semitic languages, Eastern Semitic languages, Western Semitic languages, South Semitic languages, which will be your Arabian texts and so forth. And I'm going to show you something real quick. Check it out. Okay, check it out. And I can't see the comments. So if you're leaving comments, I can't see. Give me a second. But let me show you this, right? Check this out. This agrees what we were just reading. Watch this. So it says, apparently demon, loan word from the Assyrian Sedu, and we also see it's from the Babylonian Shedu, a protecting spirit, especially of the bull colossus. Remember, we just read what that is. Then it gives you other comparisons in other languages, in Aramaic and Phoenician, etc. The protecting spirit, especially the bull colossus that guards palaces. You ever seen in the Assyrians iconography those winged bulls that are sitting right in front of the temples? That is a demon. That is a protecting spirit. It may seem adversarial, but as long as you stay in covenant with the Most High, then you don't have to worry about these things attacking you, afflicting you. unless it's allowed. Because we see in the book of Job that sometimes it's allowed to bring to a greater good. Sometimes it's allowed. However, it depends on your actions. If you keep to the covenant and these things happen to you, it's for a greater purpose, as we see in Job. However, if you step outside the bounds of the covenant and do your own thing and things happen to you, then you know why those things happen to you. You're able to discern. Okay. And sometimes in some other cultures like Chemosh or Molech required human sacrifices. But we also have human sacrifices by the way of Cherem, by way of YHWH. He required human sacrifices as well. I know when I say that, people go, oh, God, what you talking about? But there's something called sacred killings. That's deep. Again, this is something that's pervasive throughout the ancient Near East. So why am I bringing all of this up for you guys? Why am I telling you about these guys? Well, this is a reason. Let me show you something else from another generic source. And then from here, I'm going to jump into some official sources, right? Check out this other generic sources. Let me stop it. Let's get back into it. All right. So check this out. Excellent. Just call me text. You're right. That's exactly why we're in the condition we're in. Because we want to do what we want to do. So remember I told you they made a distinction between demon and daemon. Daemon is from the Latin word. Daemon is the Latin word for the Greek word daimon, which originally referred to a lesser deity or guiding spirit, such as the daemons of ancient Greek religion and mythology and of later Hellenistic religion and philosophy. Why am I showing you this source? Because anytime you read the Wikipedia, which I rarely use Wikipedia, but sometimes I use it because sometimes it makes things very plain. That's good. And I can give you some more technical resources to back it up. It has footnotes. It doesn't matter what's written here. You go back and check the footnotes to see if the footnotes, like see this footnote comes from a Greek English lexicon, which I'm going to show you on the screen in a second. Comes from a Greek English lexicon. That's deep. So again, it ties back to a source. That's like me writing a paper. It can read like Wikipedia. However, I got to put my source citations in. It's important. And it has that. You go back and you verify the source that this is coming from to validate what it is. The word is derived from Proto-Indo-European daimon, provider or divider of fortunes or destinies. From the root da, which means to divide. Daemons were possibly seen as the souls of men of the golden age, acting as tutelary deities. You know, the men of renown who died, and a portion of them, their souls lived on. And then it was told that those were the afflicting agents to people today. When you understand all of that context in the past. Remember, the book of Enoch was an oral tradition, but it was written in Greek. We have some fragments in Hebrew, but it's written in Greek. We also have the book of Enoch in Ethiopic and Slavonic, but we have the fragments in the Dead Sea Scrolls. I think it's in Greek and Hebrew, if I'm not mistaken, right? However, when the form that we have it in has a lot of similarities to the Hellenistic works of that time period, which means it was an oral tradition. They thrusted off the oppression of the Greeks. They established a Hasmonean dynasty, which became, this new Enlightenment period where they started to rewrite works that they had that was previously burned by the Greeks. They started to rewrite their works, and one of those was the book of Enoch. So it was an older oral tradition that was then written in a particular period of time. And because we see so many affinities to the text that we have today with Hellenistic Greek texts, we know the period of time in which it was written. However, there's still some archaisms listed in it that we know comes from an older tradition. And I showed one of those in regards to the rendering of the moon cycle. There's 2 moon cycle renderings for the month in here. There's one that go towards bright to darkness and darkness to bright. It's there. I showed it to you, and I gave you the academic sources that also divided out and proved that to y'all. The one where the month starts as a full moon and then wanes, as opposed to a dark moon, and then it gets brighter. Both of those are there in the book of Enoch. The older tradition is the full moon getting dark. That's the older tradition. They didn't want to erase it, rip it out, or ignore it because that's sacrilegious and taboo if you affect it, if it was the older tradition. But however, when it gets redacted over time, those little older subtleties, they get left there, but they're overshadowed by the new way of thought, new influences. That's something totally different. Liddell and Scott, I have that lexicon. I'm going to show you the lexicon. If you want to get into the Greek, classical Hebrew, classical Greek, Septuagint type Greek, and I got a Septuagint type Greek lexicon. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to bring these down in a debate. And then if you want to go to these lexicons and then get also a Septuagint Greek, you want to get the Liddell Scott, which is one of the standards, And then you want to get any kind of what I call the semantic domain Greek lexicons, okay? If you're going further, it says demons are benevolent or benign nature spirits, beings of the same nature as both mortals and deities, similar to ghosts, chthonic heroes, spirit gods, forces of nature. Remember this word here? See this word here? Subterranean, but the word in English describes deities, spirits of the underworld, especially in ancient Greek religion. Okay? Spirit guides, forces of nature, and the deities themselves, such as is in Plato's Symposium. According to Hesiod's myth, great and powerful figures were to be honored after death as a daimon. Okay, here's your source from Harvard University Press. Again, this thing is well sourced. A daimon is not so much a type of quasi-divine being, according to Burkett, but rather a non-personified, peculiar mode of their activity. This is deep. This is important. In Hesiod's Theogony, Phaeton becomes an incorporeal daemon or a divine spirit, but for example, the ills released by Pandora are deadly deities, keres, not daemones. From Hesiod also, the people of the golden age were transformed into daemons by the will of Zeus. We see those things occur in the book of Enoch, where it speaks about what goes on in Bereshit, Genesis chapter 6. Insight when you look at the actual etymology and development of the word in various cultures and contexts. To serve mortals benevolently as their guardian spirits. You hear that? That's from one legend, from one culture, the Greeks. We have similar legends in other cultures. You see, sometimes these things can lead you on a path outside of that of the Most High. Tutelary spirits exist, and we see that in Tehillim or the Psalms. And this also shows up in the New Testament. When Hashatan is tempting Yeshua, he tells him, jump down off this cliff. And hey, nothing should happen to you. Your foot should not dash against the stone, because you should have messengers, divine messengers, guardian spirits, demons. Let me stop. Wait, hold on. Stop. Let me stop. Because sometimes in your mind, you click, say, what demons lifting them up? You have these spirit guys that are lifting you up, these tutelary spirits. I'm going to bring it up in Psalms in case you think that it's not there. It's in the text. They come and lift you up because these spirits can act adversely, or they can act in a positive way, good way or a bad way. You see, it depends on a culture. It depends on a situation. However, Christians have restricted it into the narrowest sense of the word, meaning something evil. But this is not the intention of this term. All right. It's a foreign protective deity of another culture. That's what it is. They're intermediary spirits that work on behalf of the divine council. It says to serve mortals benevolently, good beings who dispense riches. Nevertheless, they remain invisible, known only by their acts. This is why sometimes people can't even see these things when they happen. The Edomites of venerated heroes were localized by the construction of shrines, so not to wander restlessly, and were believed to confer protection and good fortune on those offering their respects. This is ancestor worship. You understand? Are you feeling me? Do you see what's going on here? This is before the term came into its narrow, restrictive sense through patristic sources, church father sources, that goes into what we see today. Now, it becomes very delicate when we get into New Testament, but I'm going to show you some developments. Before that, let me show you that these tutelary spirits exist in the Old Testament. Let me bring it up real quick for y'all. Okay, because if I don't show you these sources, you're going to say that I'm bugging out. Okay, let's bring it up. Again, make sure you guys hit the thumbs up. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. All right, let me bring it up for y'all. Okay, again, this is some of what we are going to produce in these classes. All right, this is the things that we're bringing out in these classes. Hey, Yahweh, stop, son of light. You on it, my brother. You see that? Look, you see? Look what the brother's saying. You see that? Both good and evil spirit. Now, that word good and evil, we got to deal with that word ra. That word ra is anything that is dysfunctional or adversarial to a particular group of people. To one people, it could be functional. To other people, it could be dysfunctional. The Most High says that he's the one that initiates ra, or calamity. The reason why he initiates calamity, because sometimes that's a means of punishment or of a mean of evolving a situation. But however, the way he acts, we call acts of God. The way things act when there's a hurricane, when there's a famine, when there's a plague, when there's an earthquake, all these things are contributed to deities or contributed to be dysfunctions or misfortunes. And that means you have a limited scope of things. These things occur for two reasons. Number one, because of man breaking his covenant with the Creator, the first group of people breaking their covenant with the Creator, now you have the degradation of the earth. And as a result, the earth is terraformed. So that way it becomes adversarial to man. And now you have a situation where the deity says, my spirit will not contend with man. He's going to restrict it to a limited amount of years, because when the flood comes, you know, that canopy that we talked about will be split open, waters will fall down, and it would transform the realm of the heavens. So now the earth is terraformed, the sky is terraformed, and now the conditions become more adversarial to man living past a certain age. All right, let me slow down here. Let me slow down. All right. Again, when you see this ruach, this evil spirit on Saul, go and read the Hebrew. The Hebrew has the genitive. We know who's that spirit. That spirit is of the YHWH. That's the Most High spirit going on him. That's acting in a particular way. You know, when the heart of Pharaoh was turned, that's what was happening to Saul. His heart was turning because he was deviating away from the path he was supposed to go. This is why Samuel was raised up to get David and to confer, bestow upon him or anoint him to be the new king after Saul gets done off. Because what happens is when you turn away from the covenant or the instructions that Yah gives you, you're now opening yourselves up to other forces that can drive you adversely to do certain things. See, these forces can act good or bad. The Most High Spirit can act towards good or towards bad. You're gonna say, what, towards good, towards bad? Yes, dependent upon your heart condition. That's why the book of Jeremiah says, the heart is deceitfully wicked above all things. Who can know it? Who can turn it? Who can take that heart of stone, remove it, and make it a heart of flesh? Who can do that? Who can do that? All right. All right. All right. So we're gonna let's go to these tutelary spirits before you say Divine's bugging out. All right. Y'all try to excommunicate me, you know what I'm saying, out the community, you know, like they do to Christian apologists. Oh man. So check this out. Okay. Let me show you this. All right. Let me show you this. You see this here? Now, I didn't write this. For he will command his messengers. See here? For, this is key. You're for his messengers, he will command concerning you. Here you have your second person here, right? Suffix. You, Be'al, which means at or overall, and we have the word darak here. So the root word is darak, meaning your ways. So this is what he does. He commands these messengers over you or concerning you to guard, the root word here, to guard here, to guard, what's that word here? Shamar. Interesting. To guard you in all, Bekal, all your ways. For he will command his angels or his messengers or the demonion. I don't want to say demon because y'all get scary. Y'all get spooky. This is what he does. These tutelary spirits, these spirit guides. See, what happens is you get something like the Roman Catholic Church that will reinterpret what that is. No, all they did was take from indigenous culture and add their own connotation to it. What I'm simply saying is that tutelary spirits exist. You see, the Most High will give command. But in order for you to receive this, you got to go to verses 1 to 10. You first have to be in verse 1. You got to dwell in the shelter of the Most High, abide in the shadow. And you got to profess that he's your refuge and your forces, and in him you trust. For he will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his pinions, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness is a shield and a buckler. You will not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the destruction that wastes at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come to you. You will only look with your eyes and see the recompense of the wicked, because you have what? Made Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh your dwelling place. The Most High, who is my refuge, no evil shall be allowed to befall you, and no plague shall come near your tent. The evil cannot befall you because you're in his shelter and his shadow. And then what he does is he takes these tutelary spirits and he gives them over you, and they watch over you. They guard and guide you to certain fortunes. Okay, let me stop. So I bring this up because I want to show y'all these tutelary spirits do exist. And everything's about an interpretation. Check it. Y'all want me to keep going? Hit 1, because I still didn't get into Esau yet. We still got Esau. Hit 1 if you want me to keep going, and then I can finish this up and go into Esau. Okay? Just hit 1, and I'll keep going. Just let me know. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up for you guys some sources. Okay? Because that word for Shedim, watch this. Check this out. Remember that word Shedim I showed you in Devarim chapter 32 verse 17, or Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 17? What do you think the Septuagint translates that as? Because we see it in Vayikra, or Leviticus chapter 17 verse 7, and Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 17. What do you think the Septuagint, which is a Greek translation of the Chumash or the Pentateuch, and the Septuagint is the entire Tanakh, but what do you think the Septuagint translates that word as? That word Shedim, remember I read for you? It has a linguistic cognate to another Semitic language in Babylonian and Assyrian, which is the bull colossus, which is the guardian at temples. Oh, man, this is deep because, you know, when you enter these temples, these bull colossus, spirits, guides, protectors, they can afflict you. See, what happens is when you encroach upon things outside of the jurisdiction that Yah and the two spirits are assigned to you, and you encroach outside of that, now you're being afflicted. This is why you see demons running rampant in the Roman Catholic Church, and all these exorcisms happen because people have deviated away from either their matron deities of their indigenous cultures, or those who covenant with Yah. We venture and veer off of that, and now we are subjugated to the attack of these deities, especially when you do things that are unclean. The word there, unclean, for the spirit is not there by accident in the New Testament, because now we see an example of these dudes going into the tombs, doing necromancy, coming out, and they got spirits on them. They got these forces that are influencing them to do things that are reckless. You know why? Because those spirits are trying to protect something. See, even the dead has spirits that guide and protect their bodies. This is why Israelites are taught not to disturb the dead, not to touch that which is dead, because you will become unclean. And those spirits that are assigned to protect the dead will now attack you. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me slow down. All right. I know this is heavy, but check it. We didn't even get to the New Testament. I'm going to show you one verse in the New Testament. I can't bring a lot out because I got a debate. I'm going to show you. But what do you think that word is translated? That word translated is daimonion. If you don't believe me, let me check this out. Check this source out real quick. I'm going to say, man, this guy Divine got sources for days. Facts. We sourced up over here. We don't play games. Let me show you this source real quick. Check out this source, man. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you this source first. Check this out. Gotta share my screen. All right. This right here is a lexicon to Herodotus. Here we have an entry here. Our word daimonios. All right, daimonios. Again, I told you, when you see this noun inflection, your omicron and your final sigma, that indicates a nominative, which is the subject, masculine, singular, noun, okay? But then you also have your others here, your on here or your en here, right? We see that here, right? You knew. It says of the gods. When we go to Herodotus' work, it means of the gods. Hence to daimonion. You see your new, iota, omicron, new, daimonion, heaven, surprise or indignant address for something, right? Daimon, daimon, which is a deity, right? Distinguished only, it says, from the theos, or the god, the chief deity, because we see this in henotheistic cultures. Kata daimona, kata means the motion down, right? It says Herodias' will, by Herodias' will, right? And what I wanted to bring, I probably won't bring up, is where is this found within the context of Herodias' writing, so we can understand the context. We got the definition. We insert into the context. You're like, whoa, but I'm gonna reserve that. Check this out. This is the Liddell Scott Greek and English lexicon. All right. So again, when we go into our studies, you're gonna be able how to find out, well, which one of these words is daimonion? Oh, here it is. Your delta, your alpha, your iota, right? Daimon, your mu, your omicron, your nu, your iota, your omicron, your nu. Daimonion, which is divine power, divinity. Inferior divine being. Applied to the genius of Socrates. Remember, I told you, when you're under the influence of some of these spirit guides, their objective is to raise you to your highest self, the highest consciousness that man possesses. And these people are called geniuses. However, when they speak, sometimes they babble things that are incoherent because they speak these deep things that other people cannot discern. This is why some people today who are geniuses, when they speak their language, their lingo, seems to be disconnected from the norm, because the language in which they speak is such high science and high consciousness, the layman cannot perceive it. Okay, so I'm just trying to share some stuff with y'all, just a little bit. Again, I don't want to give everything. Check this out, right? A Greek English lexicon of the Septuagint by T. Marocca. I encourage everybody to get this lexicon. This is important, okay? This is important. If you look on the screen, where's our demon? Daimonios. Again, here is your nominative, singular, masculine noun, okay? You're usually going to see that as the lexical form or the absolute form of the word. Okay, you're not going to see no constructs here, anything like that, or no other inflection. Well, sometimes you might see other inflections, but it's normally under the general noun that's here, right? It says pseudo divine being, a pseudo divine being, recipient of child sacrifice, having no real existence, scary, midday, inhabitant of ruins. Well, that's deep, because when that particular goat is given out and it goes all the way to the rugged cliff or whatever, those were ruins in which deities inhabited. When you go into the book of Enoch, it talks about these entities being cast into Tartarus, or this abyss, and then you have these everlasting chains on them and these rocks that are covering them. So you send the scapegoat out to them, because in the book of Enoch it says, ascribe all sin to who? Azazel. So from the oral tradition, they wrote it during the Hellenistic period, laid it out from oral tradition, using a lot of the language that was common during that time period, coupled with their oral tradition with archaisms that's in it. And now what they're doing is the book of Vayikra, chapter 16, they're taking an oral tradition to explain this ritual. It's deep. So again, I'm going to slow down here. I'm going to slow down. Let me slow down. Let me slow down. Let me slow down. Let me slow down. Because I still got a debate. I got to use this stuff for the debate. Can't give you all everything, right? But keep this in mind. There's a distinction between the way it was used in classical Greek, the way it was used from Jews who was writing during the Hellenistic period, the way it was used in the New Testament, and the way that is used now based on patristic sources. I'm going to end it off with here. Let me end this off with Esau. And if we have a few more minutes, I'll open it up for Q&A. But check this out, right? Let me show you how to understand this in regards to the New Testament, right? I'm going to go into Paul. Paul's very interesting, right? From the works of Paul, not from the book of Acts, it's written by Luke or Lucas. Let's go into the book of Paul. I want to show you something. 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Let's get that real quick. Let me bring that up on the screen, okay? Let me bring it on the screen, okay? Yeah, you're not gonna get this nowhere else. Not that it's not taught anywhere else. I'm just saying our community is just not addressing these things. So I'm trying to remove this stuff. I'm telling you, once you remove this, you're gonna be like, what? Check this out. And remember, I told you about dualism, right? That dualism philosophy it started to weigh on Israelite or Judean thoughts when they rubbed shoulders with these Persians who started subscribing to another worldview, I should say. Okay, where dualism was very prominent. Okay, I brought this up before. You don't see dualism, does not exist in the Tanakh. There's no dualism. There is no opposite deity of the creator that has the same powers as the creator, same authority, same rule as the creator, and is at odds with him. When you go to the book of Job and it says the adversary, that's not the adversary. That's not the antagonist of the Most High. It's the antagonist of the protagonist, which is Job. That is who that entity was the adversary towards, not to the Most High. When you learn to read the prose and understand ancient Near Eastern thought, you understand how literary devices are established. When there's an antagonist, you have to establish who the protagonist is. When there's a protagonist, you establish who the antagonist. The Most High is a tertiary or a peripheral character in the entire thing. He's only in the beginning and all the way at the end, but in the middle is the protagonist, which is Job. So his adversary is the one that afflicted him by means of it being allowed. Remember, I told you the patron deity of Israel has these borders surrounding him, protection. He has jurisdiction. So in order for an outside entity to do something, he must allow it. And if he does, he allows it for a purpose, because a person that becomes too self-righteous must be humbled. And a person that deviates out, he allows these things to happen. So when they're wounded, he can go then and rescue them and bring them in. Because otherwise, if they're not humbled, they're going to keep going after spiritual whoredom or spiritual idolatry. Follow me. Follow me. Follow me. Check this out. Correct. Eli A talk about Zoroastrianism. That's where you get your dualism. That's the worldview that rubs shoulder to shoulder with Second Temple Judaism. I brought this out before. But watch this. Check this out, right? Check this out. 1 Corinthians chapter 10. I'm going to end it off here because I got to connect this back to the proper understanding what a demon is. Check this out, okay? Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Bring it up on the screen, and I got to move forward. I know y'all probably asked some questions. I'm not even going to I'm trying to get into my other part of this. So let's just jump down. Let's jump down, all right? All right. All right. Let me show you on the screen. I want to show you something. Follow me as we go along. Here we go. All right. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 18. Consider the people of Israel. Are not those who eat the sacrifices participants in the altar? Right? Because, you know, the priests, when they made certain offers, certain offerings, they were able to eat or partake of those food. Okay. It says, what do I apply then? That food offered to idols is anything, or that an idol is anything. Right. Again, we have that word idol, which is interesting. Right. Is the word what? Idolothatos, right? We also have the word icon, which is the image. Is interesting. But remember, we saw that sacrifices are made to these foreign powers. You know, Paul says at one point the Most High winked at man's ignorance, but now he calls all men to repent. Well, he's saying that he wants this ingathering of all the nations to come now and swoon after this deity. Well, let's keep going. No, I imply that what pagans, what's the pagan? What are you talking about, pagan, Paul? What's the pagan? Ethnos, the Gentiles. Slow down. Remember, I told y'all that the demons are protective spirits, lesser deities that are over other nations. He's telling you this. This is what the heathen is. Paul's saying this. Wait, Paul, I thought the Gentiles and you were one and the same. Why are you calling them Gentiles? You calling them heathen, but then we get translated as heathen. Well, that's deep. It's not really deep. Gentiles sacrifice what they sacrifice. We have it all here. The word here is what? It's in the dative. It's the word for what? For God. Dative is your indirect object. Here is your iota subscript to know that this is in the dative, which is the indirect object. But check this out. No, I imply that what Gentiles sacrifice, they offer to what's that word there? Wait, hold on. It says demons. Wait. Daimonion. Oh, so when they sacrifice, they offer it to foreign powers, protective spirits, tutelary spirits, their ancestor worship. These great heroes of old, these demigods who died, and now their spirits are there to guide you to fortunes, because now he's writing to a Hellenized group who understands what I told you about Zeus, who took certain these entities after they died, allowed their spirits to live on so they can guide men to fortunes, good men to fortunes. Okay. He says, I do not want you to be participants with foreign deities, other protective spirits. This is what Paul's saying. If you're going to be grafted in and you're going to link up with Israel and the deity of Israel, then when those other nations have their other deities that they sacrifice, I don't want y'all to do it, he says. Paul's saying this. Now check this out. I'm going to link it with the Chumash in 1 second. Just rock with me. You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons. You cannot partake of the table of the Lord and the table of demons. Notice he says nothing about diabolos, right? Let's take a look to see what he's talking about. What are you talking about, Paul? Okay. What are you talking about? Daimonion. He's not talking about diabolos. He's not going to talk about satanos. He's not talking about any of these things. He's very particular here because of what was going on in Corinth. Now, if you understand Corinth had several temples in that region. One of them was the temple of Aphrodite. This is why when he's talking to them about your temple is in your body, the temple of the Holy Spirit, because they had sacred prostitutes at a temple there in Corinth. All right. You got to understand the context, language, culture, customs, geography, location. Okay. So let's keep following me. Right? It'll make sense. Now, verse 22 is important. Shall we provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than he? What are you talking about here? Let's go to Exodus chapter 20. Let's bring these precepts, which just means a command. Y'all say precepts. Let's check it out. Right? Check it out. I'm going to show you some words here. See this word here? Watch this. I am your power. I am your YHWH, your power, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of slavery. You shouldn't have no other gods, Panay, face to face with me. You cannot have me here and have another deity here. That's why henotheism is I'm the creator deity, and all these are lesser deities. These are all daimonions underneath, and I'm on the top of it. You can't bring one of these lesser deities up on my level. Don't work like that, son. They can never level up to this because I'm the creator. Therefore, I continue to have governance over them. So Paul is reiterating something from him being a Benjamite, who was also a Pharisee, understanding the Chumash, or the first 5 books, and the law, the mitzvah. And then now from the mitzvah, he's telling them, yo, if you are cleaving and being brought in, are you being cleaved, or you being your wild olive branch, we bring you into Israel, those other deities of the Gentiles, their protective spirits, the intermediate spirits, even their gods, you know, Zeus and them, you got to abandon them. You can't, because Corinth, the people they looked at all types of gods. They were polytheistic. Some of them were treating the power of Israel that Paul represented as one of many deities. He says, no, you can't do that. You can't eat that which is sacrificed on an altar to another power and think you can come and do the same thing with the Most High. It cannot work like that. Paul's telling you this. Then he says, will you provoke him to anger? How do you provoke him to anger? You go back to Shemot chapter 20 and says, shall you have another power before my face? They can't look at me, son. You know why? Because you see those 2 winged creatures that cover the glory. Oh man, Isaiah chapter 6, it covers him. No other power can see his face. So when you understand the imagery in Isaiah chapter 6 and go back to Shemot chapter 20, where it says face to face, it can't be face to face. The wings cover my glory. Son, they can't see me. But you, by worshiping them, having a covenant with me, or bringing them up to my level, it cannot work that way. It cannot work that way. All right. He says hood theology. Oh man, I mean that's the New York. Sometimes when I get passionate, New York comes out. Okay, let me tame New York down a little bit. All right, let me tame New York down a little bit. All right. So again, you shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness, and these are the idols, right? or that which is in the earth. So when people say, oh, Paul did away with the law, how? He was pulling from the law to establish these things in Corinthians. How is that the case? Notice, no satanos, no satanas, no diabolos, right? No devil, no Satan. None, he's not using none of those words connecting these daimonion to. He's not doing that. All right. Okay, let me fall back for a second. You also got the word. I'm gonna show you that word. Se'erim. That could be goats or hairy peoples or entities or a rugged place. And this is why Esau, who was hairy and rugged man of the field, why he came and moved to Mount Seir. That same word Seir in Vayikra chapter 17, verse 7, where it says the demons, they translate demons. That's wrong. That's not what it's supposed to say. That word there, Seir, is the word for goats. But in the Septuagint, they translate that to demon because they understand these are lesser deities, intermediary deities that are represented by goats. Therefore, the goat itself or a goat idol is what they sacrifice to. When you need the context of Vayikra chapter 17, you understand this. I have a whole article up on goat symbolism in the ancient Near East. That's on the Patreon. Check it out. Okay. So he says, why goats with sin offerings? All of that connects. Remember talking about Esau? Esau was born red and hairy all over. Seir has to do with the hair of the goat hair. It could mean the rugged place, the place where the goats are at, Mount Seir. Esau, man of the field, being hairy and rugged. Mount Seir, another word that typifies the characteristics that Esau possesses. That's why they go hand in hand. This is deep. All right, so look, let's keep moving. Let's get into the Esau part, and I'm off of here. You want me to keep going? Hit one. You want me to keep going? Hit one. Hit one, and I'll keep going. All right. Yeah, shout out to my sister Sean in the building. Deuteronomy 18:9-12 lists all the things of the nations Israel was not to do. Same thing Paul said. Facts. Paul is sourcing from his culture. However, sometimes he may use Greek philosophical works that he quotes word from word because of the audience he's talking to. But his point of reference is his culture. All right. Some people miss that, but it's okay. Because when you're entrenched in dogma, this is what it does. It weighs you down. It puts the blinders on. You see, the horse got the blinders, keeps you looking linearly. You can't see everything. We remove those blinders, give you the whole holistic picture. Okay. Think about it. Take this thing and reinterpret it. Say, oh, Daemon. And you'll see it. They interpret it in places in Psalms and Isaiah. They have the word daimonion there. Why is it showing up there? Why is daimonion showing up there in the book of Isaiah and the book of Psalms? It's deep. I'm gonna save that for the debate. I gotta finish working on that tonight, Saturday night. Saturday night, when my children in the bed, I'm gonna be up all night working on this debate, putting it together. And all I'm gonna do is lay a foundation. I can answer questions here and there, but this type of information, the people I'm debating, they're not there yet. So a lot of this is gonna go over their head. All you're gonna hear is the same dogmatic rhetoric that you hear from a Christian pastor. All right, they don't understand this. Remember the tombs. You go into the tombs, you're working outside of Torah. Therefore, you're subjugating yourself to the protecting spirits of that deity. Then you have self-infliction, cutting. Right? You see people that Yeshua comes, it's cutting. Cutting that's done. Oh man, you had that disorder today. In my past, I knew several people that were cutters that cut themselves. Okay. Remember that tradition comes from daimonion. You know, the book of Vayikra, chapter 19, verse 20, it says, don't make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead. Why? Because there are other cultures, and that is their custom. That's not your custom. Don't do that. When people are cutting themselves, they're being influenced by these other entities to cut, and it becomes a mental condition. It can happen for various reasons. Okay, right now, in the realm of psychiatry, they're trying to transition it from some kind of illness to a mental disorder, cutting. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. Let's transition to Esau, and I'm done. Now, why am I bringing up Esau right now? The reason why I'm bringing up Esau right now is because yesterday, because today is the next day. Today's Saturday now, but Friday, Sonetta calls me randomly. Apparently, he had Garfield on his show, and I didn't watch the show at all. They call me and ask me, and he says, "Hey, Garfield wants to ask you a question. I want to see if you agree with Garfield." Then they asked me the question, and it's like, "Was YHWH a deity of the Edomites?" And I said, "Yeah." You know what I'm saying? This is the objective view from academia, and I'm going to show y'all what I mean by that. Are y'all ready? Because they had a chief deity, but YHWH was a lesser deity. And they didn't covenant with YHWH. They covenant with this other deity. I'm about to show you this other deity. The Midianites also knew about YHWH, but he was one of many deities. And this region that we call Seir, which goes all the way from Seir to Timnah Valley, because we had some of these Edomites in the Timnah area. We're going to see this word Timnah show up in the genealogy. I'm going to show you some stuff. Let me know when you're ready. All right, let's go. All right, let's go. All right. Let's bring it out. I'm gonna bring it out first. Let me bring it out first here. Let me see if I got it here. Where is it at? No, I don't have it up here yet. Let me bring it up on the screen. Y'all give me 1 second. Bear with me. Let me bring it up on the screen. Here it is. All right, let me show you this. Okay. I just put this together earlier for y'all to take a look at. I want to show y'all something, okay? And then from here, I'm going to get into some scholarly articles to validate what I'm about to tell you. But first, I'm going to start with a foundation in the text, okay? All right, check this out. All right, shout out to my brother, Jabbar Yisrael. Thank you for the donation. I truly appreciate that. All right, so check this out, family. Check this out. All right. So Edom migrating to Mount Seir and dispossessing the Horites there. Now, why would Edom, right, or Esau, and Edom being another name from him and his descendants, why did they migrate to a particular region? Now check this out, right? Genesis chapter 14, verse 6, and the Horites in their hill country of Seir, as far as El Paran. These words come up much later on in the text, on the border of the wilderness. Bereshit, Genesis chapter 36, verse 6. Then Esau took his wives, his sons, his daughters, and all the members of his household, his livestock, and all his beasts, and all his property that he acquired where? In the land of Canaan. He went into a land away from his brother Jacob, for their possessions were too great for them to dwell together. The land of their sojourners could not support them because of their livestock. So Esau settled in the hill country of where? Seir, and then they give you in parentheses, Esau is Edom. These are the generations of Esau, the father of who? The Edomites in the hill country of Seir. Again, these are literary devices. The name for Esau and the name for Seir, they relate. These are the sons of Seir, the Horite, the inhabitants of the land, Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah. But we go to Devarim 2 and 12. Well, what happens when Esau gets to this region where the Horites is at? It says, the Horites also lived in Seir formerly, but the people of Esau dispossessed them and destroyed them from before them and settled in their place as Israel did to the land of their possession, which YHWH gave them. Now, I'm showing you this so we can understand where Esau is going. Now, I want to show you a map so you can see where this is at on a map. All right? Because some people, they think Mount Sinai is in the Sinai Peninsula. That's incorrect. It is not in the Sinai Peninsula. It's in Northwest Arabia. All right. Now, check this out. Let me show you this. Check this out. Let me show you this, right? Let me show you the map. Here's the map. Okay. Here's Goshen, that's up here, right? Which is known as in archaeology as Avaris, right? Here's the Nile River. Here's the Gulf of Suez, the Gulf of Aqaba, right? This is where they're telling you that the traditional Mount Sinai is. That's incorrect. You know why? Because we don't have any excavations of Edomite and Midianite pottery, wares, cultic items, etc. in that region. However, if you go to what's called Jabal al-Laws, in this region, you have the region of Midian, which borders Mount Seir or Edom. It's in this region right here. Let me zoom in so you can see it. It's the Sinai Peninsula. It's right here in this region right here. This is the hill country right here, the hill country. When YHWH descends to appear in Mount Sinai here, he comes from this region here. See, when I did my lecture, it says El Shaddai, YHWH, El Elyon, three of a kind, one and the same. I touch on this. But I'm showing this for a reason so you can see where these things are at. And I'm going to show you this. Check this out. Let's get into the text. Let's get back to the text, okay? YHWH came from the region of Seir. Check this out. Exodus chapter 18, verse 8. Now, remember I showed you where Midian was at, right? Then Moses told his father-in-law all that YHWH had done to Pharaoh and to the Egyptians for Israel's sake, or the hardship that had come upon them in the way, and how YHWH had delivered them. And Jephthah rejoiced for all the good that YHWH had done to Israel, in that he delivered them out of the hand of the Egyptians. Jethro said, check this out, priestly blessing. Because remember, Jephthah was a high priest. Jethro comes from Midian, which was one of the sons of Abraham through Keturah. I did a whole lecture on this, but let's keep going. Blessed be YHWH. That's a priestly blessing, right? We see the same blessing that's bestowed by the priests of Israel, who has delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, out of the hand of Pharaoh, has delivered the people from under the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that YHWH is greater than all the powers. Go, what do you think that word is there in the Septuagint? I'll let you go research it. Because in this affair, they dealt arrogantly with the people. And watch this. Jethro, Moses' follower, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices to God. And Aaron came with the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before the Most High. Now, why am I bringing this up? Jethro knew about this deity in that region. They knew about YHWH. They knew about the deity. Where do you think Moses encountered this deity at? In Midian. Okay, look. Okay, check it out. We have a situation where El is coming in the form of YHWH to interact with the children of Israel and covenant with them, because in the land of Canaan, he covenanted with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And when Joseph came, he worked on Joseph to become a vizier to allow the 70 of his relatives to come on in, and they multiplied in it. We see that in Exodus chapter 1 in that region, and they cried out because of their oppression. Y'all heard it. Moshe was drawn out the water. That's what his name comes from, to be drawn out the water, raised up in Pharaoh's house. He realized who he was. He wound up killing a man. He had to flee. He ended up where? In Midian. This was not by chance. When he's in Midian, he now encounters his deity, which is YHWH. But it's not YHWH. It's an extension. It's a messenger that has the name of YHWH in him. The whole lecture I touched on that, bodied it, but keep check it out, right? So now we have a situation where he's encountered this deity in Midian. This is where Moses encounters YHWH in Midian, not in Canaan, not in Egypt. So obviously, Jephthah was a high priest. When this deity encountered with Moses, Moses said, yo, I got to go. He had to go ask permission from Jephthah to leave. He couldn't just leave. He was under the tutelage and the governance of Jethro, who was the high priest at that time. Remember, Jethro was a Hebrew by way of his forefather Midian, who was the son of who? Abraham. That another lineage of Hebrews going on there. This is why YHWH followed Hebrews. This is why he followed Esau, okay, and the Edomites, but they rejected him. We're going to see this. It's deep. Wait, follow me, family, follow me. I'm trying to go slow here. Check it out. So now Jethro knows about this deity, but he says, whoa, wait, he did what? He judged the gods of Egypt? I know this is the great. So then he says, yo, we got to give an offering to this deity. So he got a burnt offering. Go back into the law and see what the burnt offerings was used for and what they, okay, burnt offering and a sacrifice on top of that. A burnt offering sacrifice and it was given, and he was not struck dead. It was received. Why? Because YHWH was one of the many deities that was worshipped there in Midian and towards the north. Where? In Seir. The Edomites had come into contact with deity, but they covenant with another deity. And I'm going to show you the name of that deity. It's deep. I know I say deep all the time. It's cool. You're fine. But check this out, right? Devarim chapter 33, verse 2, he said, YHWH came from where? Sinai, and dawned from Seir upon us, which means Seir and Sinai have to be in the same region. To the north, you have the Edomites. To the south, you have the Midianites. So he came from Sinai by way of dawning from Seir. Well, who was in Seir? We just saw who was in Seir. Actually, we're going to see it in another two scriptures. Edom. He's shown from Mount Paran. Remember we saw early up? Wait. Edom was that? Wait. Where it said that Edom? It said that he inhabited where? What regions? It says the Horites in the hill country of Seir as far as Paran. So we have Mount Seir all the way to Paran is where the Horites at. They were dispossessed by the Edomites who dwelt there. And now it's saying that he dawned on them from Seir and he came from Sinai. So it came forth from Mount Paran. Paran, Sinai, Seir has to be in the same region because this is where they were wandering at. Okay. Habakkuk 3:3 says, God came from Teman, the Holy One from Mount Paran, Selah, his splendor covers the heavens and the earth was full of his praise. Obadiah 1:8 says, will I not on that day declare YHWH destroyed the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of Mount Esau? And your mighty men shall be dismayed, O Teman. Teman is connected to Edom, which is connected to where? To Mount Seir. And your mighty men shall be dismayed, O Teman. On that, every man from Mount Esau will be cut off. So Teman, we see it in Habakkuk, is connected to Mount Paran. Teman, Mount Paran, that is connected to where? Seir and Sinai. So if YHWH was a deity in this region, chilling there on the mountaintop, you'll get that in the lecture, waiting for Moshe, and we say YHWH, we're talking about the messenger, waiting for him, just sitting there waiting for him, because that's El's hand. El was sitting on his throne at a distance and using his hand, keeping his hand in this region, waiting for Moses. Moses see the sightless fire. Take off your feet. You on set apart ground. Took off his feet. It says when YHWH saw from within the fire that Moses looked at that's deep. There we go. He's encountering this deity. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, yes, there was exposure of YHWH to the Midianites and Edomites. However, they did not covenant with the deity. They didn't have ancestors who covenant with the deity. Remember, the promise didn't come through Midian. The promise came through who? Isaac and Jacob. Not through Midian's lineage, who Jethro comes from. So they have their own high power. But after this, they made YHWH the high power. And you'll see that the Kenites and the company of Jethro followed the Israelites and even settled into Judah. It's deep. That's something deep. There's a reason for that, because they abstained from their deity and they started to go after YHWH. This is why YHWH was able to use the Midianites to afflict Israel during the period of Judges. Some of y'all get that. So let's skip that. Let me show you some other sources. Hold on. Hold your horses for a second. We getting there. All right. Shout out to my brother YHWH for the donation. I appreciate that. Shout out to Marie Tobias for the donation. Thank you so much. All right. So let's keep going. Check this out. Let me show you this article real quick. All right. And those of you who are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. We get it in like this all the time. Go back to the archives and check it out. We get it in like this all the time. All right. Now watch this. Let me show you this article real quick. Check this article out. Check this out. And I got tons of articles. I'm not going to be able to read all of them. However, they will be in the Patreon. And if you're not part of the Patreon, you can just email us at kingdomharmony@gmail.com and we can send it to you. But if you subscribe to the Patreon, we have tons of these sources on there, books and articles and all types of exclusives. So all that stuff is on the Patreon. All right. So after we leave here, the Patreon is a 24/7, 365 after party. A lot of these academic resources are being added weekly to the Patreon. We have tons of them. We have 105, 6 books on there now. And we have maybe about 20 or so articles. that you can just get access to. Then we got the Hebrew Essentials course, the Greek Essentials course. Just sign up for the Patreon. You cannot lose by signing up for the Patreon. Check out this article right here, all right? I want y'all to see this. All right? Edom and Copper, the emergence of ancient Israel's rival by Thomas E. Levy. So Thomas E. Levy writes a lot about the Transjordan Shashu people. So remember, when the Israelites were in the wilderness, Bamidbar, you think that means wilderness, like it was a dry desert place? That's not what it means. Go back and look at that word Midbar, see what that word means. It's a pasture area. And if you understand oases and these semi-desert areas, there's oases, there's springs, it's all types of stuff in there. However, if you never visited there or researched it, you're just unfamiliar and you think it's some kind of desert. Quails were known to fly by there. How do you think the quails got to them and ate it? That was one of their fly zones. Okay, they flew, they stopped, and they flew on. Most High allowed it to occur to convenience them from the eat. There was right there. He led them right into the region where the quail flew in and flew out. This is why when we go to do our calculations for the calendar, we look for the fly path of certain birds, because it's reference also the turtle doves coming into the land. And that's how we know the wintering rains has passed in the book of Song of Songs. And now spring has come upon us. Quail were there. And also, if you go to that region, Northwest Arabia, in that region, what is this manna, right? That's like coriander seed and all of that. Those elements are still there. All right, so I'll talk about that another time. Did King David do battle with the Edomites? The Bible says he did. It would be unlikely, however, if Edom was not yet a sufficiently complex society to organize and field an army. If Edom was just some nomadic Bedouin tribes roaming around looking for pastures and water for sheep and goats. Now, it's also a reference to the Shashu of Seir or Edom that is mentioned in the corpus of text in Egyptian literature, right? So we have extra-biblical reference of these Edomites, okay? It says, until recently, many scholars took this position. In David's time, Edom was at most a simple pastoral society, okay? This gave fuel to those scholars who insisted that ancient Israel, rather Judah, likewise did not develop into a state until a century or more after David's time. Ancient Israel, they argue, was just like the situation east of the Jordan. Now, I'm not going to read all of this, right? But let me show you this. Let me zoom in. Now, remember that map I showed you, right? As you can see, look, I love looking at this stuff, man. You see, there's piles of rubble, bestride the outline of large square fortresses. You see it here? See, we go into the material culture and archaeology when we do our classes too, right? Because we holistically deal with this, right? It says, outline of a large square fortress, more than 100 smaller buildings at Kerbit and Nahas, and the Edomite lowlands of Jordan. The massive black mounds are slag, a waste product of the copper melting process. Okay, right here. You see it right here. Okay, indicating the large-scale copper production occurred here at the time of the site's occupation. Radiocarbon dating of the slag mounds shows that the copper, let me zoom in, shows that the copper production occurred here. At the copper production took place during the 12th to 9th centuries BCE and no later. Standing guard for the entire site, the gatehouse above. Remember I showed you the image of that gatehouse where Lot was at? And it was typically near where the city has like a wall maybe, or the entrance of the city is where the gate is at. It indicates the entrance to a city. And he was at the gate because during that period of time, anytime a stranger came by, somebody was supposed to be at the gate. Typically, you have the elders at the gate. We see that in Proverbs chapter 31, the elders that sit by the gate, he sit with the elders. Okay. Their job is to have somebody there at the entrance of the gate at all times to greet passerbys. Okay. Confirming Nelson Gluick's earlier suggestion that a gateway lay buried here, archaeologists recently discovered a typical 4-chamber gate. Only 2 of the chambers have been excavated. The entrance was through a passage on the far side of the 2 exposed gate chambers on the western side of the gate. Large mounds of charcoal here and at other structures on the site were dated by precision radiocarbon dating, which fixed the date of early construction of the fortress in the 10th century BCE, just like Gluick has suggested decades above. Let me scroll down to the end because this is an excellent article, man. Excellent article about metallurgy, about copper. Now, you see this right here. Kos Gabri, okay? Gabri, if you look here, this is a cognate with the Hebrew Gabar or Geber, all right? And then Kos, it's another cognate with Hebrew, but this is the deity they worship. Kos was the deity they worship. Kas-Gabir, king of Edom, is the name inscribed on the seal that created this impression. You see this right here? You see this? Check it out. This winged creature. Anytime you see some winged creature, those are protecting spirits. You know, when you see this in the book of Revelation, these creatures that have wings, and Ezekiel, these creatures that have wings, what does it represent? When we go back and look at the word daimonion, excuse me, we see that it is a protecting spirit of another culture, similar to the bull colossus, which is some kind of creature with wings that was there to guard things. Now you're getting to understand what I'm talking about, right? Discovered at the Edomite highland site of el Bayara, this Bula clay seal impression is the only known evidence of an Edomite king seal. So when we go back and look at the chiefdom that was established when Esau went to Seir and he had descendants, they had a chiefdom there. It wasn't a full-blown empire. It was a chiefdom of semi-nomadic pastoralists. And when they went to go excavate there, they found this seal inscription in the Transjordan region where the highlands, the hill countryside where Edom dwelt, that was a large patch of land where Edom dwelt at. They found this here, which coincides that there were kings that go back to the history and go back to the genealogy that we see in the book of Bereshit. It says, mentioned in 2 Assyrian inscriptions that can be reliably dated to the 7th century BCE. The date of this seal impression, along with the relative dating of the pottery found with it, was the basis which archaeologist Crystal Bennett mistakenly concluded that Edom was not occupied before the 8th century BCE. But we do have evidence of Edom by way of this seal impression. But let's scroll down. What I want y'all to see is this, okay? I want y'all to see this. Let's get to not this nice ring here. But I want to read this final part for you guys right here, all right? Let me find it. Where is it at? No, not this part. Not this part. Hold on. All right. Okay, so we're going to read right here, right? Edom was always a kind of tribal society, even at its most advanced period when highland sites like Busaira and el Bayara were occupied in the 8th to 6th century BCE. But it was also a complex society quite early in the Iron Age, if not towards the end of the late Bronze Age, looking at a broader canvas when the center of Eastern Mediterranean copper production in Cyprus collapsed, along with the rest of the civilization at the end of the late Bronze Age, was end at 1200 BCE. Edom's copper production, which had flourished previously during the early Bronze Age. So remember, when we look at where Abraham, the time of Abraham, Isaac, and then Jacob, and then the Edomites, who could have been mistaken as the Horites. However, the text tells us there was another group that was there that was dispossessed by Edom. It says was resurrected. Control of lowland Edom copper production at the beginning of the Iron Age provided a catalyst for the emergence of Edom as a super chiefdom, if not as a state supported by a complex copper mining and processing apparatus. In this context, the biblical references to the Edomites, especially their conflicts with David and subsequent Judite kings, garner a new plausibility. All right, let me stop there. Let me show y'all another article. All right, show you 2 more articles. I need y'all to check this out. It's important. Okay, this article right here. Okay, let me pull it up on the screen. It's called The Religion of Idumea and Its Relationship to Early Judaism. All right. It says, for several hundred years from the late Iron Age to the end of the 2nd century BCE, the southern neighbor of Judea was Idumea, populated by descendants of Edomites together with Kedarites and other Arabs and a mix of additional ethnicities. Again, the word Arab means a mixture. Okay. This paper examines the known data on the identity, especially religious identity of the Idumeans, using a wide range of written sources and archaeological data. Within the Bible, Edom is presented as Israel's twin and his harshest enemy, but there are hints that the Edomites worship the God of Israel. While the origins of the Edomite deity Kas remain obscure, as does the process of their migration to southern Judah, the many inscriptions from the Persian period show that Kas became the most widely worshipped deity in the area, even if other gods, including Yahweh, were also recognized. The Hellenistic period brought heightened Greek and Phoenician influence, but also the stabilization of Idumea as an administrative ethnic unit. Some of the practices of this period, such as male circumcision, show an affinity to Judaism at the time. If you go back and read the Apocrypha, 1st, 2nd Maccabees, you understand what occurred. You understand the history from extra biblical sources, how the Edomites were drafted in to Judea at the time so they could fight against the Greeks. Okay. It says this paper also discusses the outcome of the Hasmonean conquest, which I just mentioned, of Idumea and the incorporation of its inhabitants into the Jewish nation. I did my lecture in 2014 from Esau to Zionism, right? Who are the Edomites today? From Esau to Zionism. I talk about that incorporation of the Edomites coming into the Judean fold, taking on circumcision and other customs. And then they branched away from them when they were sieged by the Babylonians and assisted the Babylonians in pillaging Israel and Judah. And this is why the Most High judged them, because they took advantage of the Israelites when they were being sieged by the Babylonians. And this is when they parted away from them. This is where you see the prophets like Obadiah condemning Esau or Edom. Okay. And not only that, they allowed the pillaging to happen. Most High says he's going to judge them for it. And then what happened was they became subjugated again to Israel, because first they were subjugated fully by David and Solomon. Then later on, they started having skirmishes with them, but they were subjugated again because of what they were doing to the Judeans when the Judeans came back, settled during the Persian period, and then rose up against the Greeks during the Grecian period, and then subjugated Idumea or the Edomites to their rule, authority, and reign, and drafted them to fight against the Greeks. So what happened is, because they were now in close proximity with the Judeans, they started to take on forms of Second Temple Judaism. Second Temple Judaism. And the way that they do certain things. This is why now they can move today and look similar to the ancient kind, because they learned these things by contact and acculturation with the Judeans during the time of the Grecian rule. So let's scroll down. Let me again, this article will be up for you guys to check out on the Patreon, but let me just read the conclusion for y'all. Let me just make it plain. All right. Check this out. And this article is agreeing with what I'm telling you. Check this out. Okay. Let me zoom in. Okay. It says postscript. Despite the assimilation of Idumea and its inhabitants into Judea towards the end of the 2nd century BCE, and despite the huge influence that Herod and his descendants had on Judea, Jerusalem, and the temple throughout the remaining 170 years of their existence beyond late Second Temple and Rabbinic Judaism, essentially obfuscated any memory of the Idumeans. This can easily be seen in most of the late Second Temple period pseudepigrapha. Besides the story of conflict between Esau and Jacob in the Hebron area and Jubilees, which may reflect a pre-John Hyrcanus reality, the later pseudepigrapha, such as the testaments of the 12 tribes, 4 Ezra, 1st Enoch, and others, mostly built upon the biblical depiction of the enmity between Edom and Israel, retrojected this enmity to the figure of Esau himself. Most scholars find very little historical value in these sources beyond the very stereotype that they betray. The same stereotypical view of Edom can be seen in rabbinic literature. Again, taking its lead from the Bible, the rabbis use Edom as an epithet for Israel's arch enemy, first identified with Rome, and later, after the early 4th century CE, as a code name for the church. You hear that? The many stories in Genesis Rabbah that feature the evil-doing Esau are a good example of how this negative view of Edom was projected onto the character of Edom's eponymous ancestor, which is Esau. Okay? Now, matter of fact, let's scroll up a bit. All right? Let me show you something. The Idumean Bible. Oh, man. All right, so look, let me see if I can find, where's the part that I'm trying to look? Okay, at some point in the late Iron Age, Kos became the national deity of the Edomites. There is a debate on the origin and nature of this deity, but his name appears on a theophoric element in an increasing number of inscriptions found on both sides of Araba. Remember Araba? Okay. From these and from additional evidence, we can reconstruct an Edomite migration into the Negev during the late Iron Age. Although this migration's character remains debated, some scholars see it as an invasion, while others perform more peaceful infiltration model. There's also debate on the role the Edomites played in the fall of the kingdom of Judah in 586 BCE, which I mentioned to you. In any case, after the fall of Edom itself, apparently in 552, it was the Edomite diaspora in southern Judah that continued to carry on Edomite name, identity, and religion. We have very little information about the Edomites during the Persian period. We know that their area they lived in was controlled by the Kedarite Arabs, and a significant number of Arab names appear on the onomastic records. The many Ashkelons found in the region were other groups, Judites, Phoenicians, Egyptians, Mesopotamians, and others, although Kos remains the most frequently used theophoric element, unique group of figurines identifying a region, may be representations of Kas, or this deity, right? Now, let's go up. Let's go up. Let me see. I'm trying to find the section where it talks about Edomites worshiping YHWH as the Shashu, part of the Shashu of YHWH. Okay. Let me see if I can find it. Kedarites, Arabia. I think I'm getting close. Hold on. It's important to note that Klon's search installations has won in conquest, forced forever, and it showed the meek Kovut for ritual bathing. Kabim. Man, I may not be able to find it right now. There's a particular paragraph that helped to exemplify the point that I'm trying to make. I should have had it highlighted. Let me go up. I think it's early on in the article. Let's see. Is it here? All right, I think this is it right here. The concept of Hyrcanus, his brother in Hebrew, the opponents answer Edom and Israel. While we have no way of knowing what the Edomites thought about the relation of Edom and Judah and the Aramean Judean, of course, you're going to be close. The purposes of the paper to examine, blah, blah, blah. Who are the Edomites? Let me see if I can find them. Ralston, the Ani script seems to be that Aramaic. The debate, like Judah, some of the kingdoms, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I can't find it right now. However, I'll put the article up so that y'all can review it, okay? The other article that I wanted y'all to see, let me get it for y'all real quick. My apologies, y'all. I should have had it highlighted or something. The other article I wanted y'all to see is right here. This is the other article. I'm not going to read it, but I want you to go back and check it out. I can explain to y'all what it says in here. And again, this goes back again into the evidence that Edom also worshiped YHWH, but they did not covenant with YHWH. They covenant with the god Kas. Okay, this is it right here. I'm bringing it up on the screen. Again, these will be available on the Patreon. It's called Archaeology and the Shashu Nomads, Recent Excavations in the Jabal Hamrat Fidan in Jordan. All right. Biblical scholars view the late Bronze Age and early Iron as a period during which the tribes of Israel settled in Canaan, as described at length in the books of Joshua and Judges. Neighboring southern Jordan, the geographic area known as Edom, witnessed the emergence of the first historically recorded state or kingdom level of social organization. Thus, when considering the dynamics of social change in Israel-Palestine, scholars must consider developments and historical trajectories in the entire region, including the Transjordan. The settlement of the tribes in Canaan has been a contentious issue, stimulating a number of distinctive models that attempt to meld the different biblical accounts portrayed in these two books, the extra biblical historical data, and archaeology to weave together the most likely model to describe what happened during the late Bronze, early Iron Age in southern Levant. The settlement model has been described in the conquest model and the peaceful infiltration model, the peasant revolt, the symbiosis, and the ethnogenesis model, right? This is all has to do with the Exodus and the emergence of Israel, okay, after they're leaving out of Egypt, okay? But when this goes in, it goes in and to show you the region and location. This is Kerbet and Nahas. This is where they did excavations and found that Bula of Kas, of that Edomite king, all right, belonged to Shashu nomads, can be dated as early as Iron Age 2, while the suggestion that the cemetery belonged to the Shashu was made in earlier paper. Here we explore some of the social dimensions reflected in the cemetery excavations. And then they go into the Shashu was a group of social nomads, were known for Egyptian texts, wall reliefs, and monuments from the 18th century. Okay. It says it is related either to the Egyptian verb to wander or Semitic to plunder. According to Ward, an Egyptian origin for the word seems more likely because the Egyptians sources report the Shashu from vast tracts of the southern Levant. It can be assumed that they were not an ethnic group tied to only one specific region. Rather, the Shashu seem to represent a social class of nomads who reflect an ancient equivalent of the term Bedouin, which cross-cuts different ethnic groups and relates more to generic social economic substance organization devoted to pastoral nomadism than to ethnicity. Okay. If you're going further, it talks about out of these Shashu emerge various groups like the Midianites, the Edomites, the Israelites, etc., and that they all can be lumped together as the Shashu who worship Yahoo. However, the Israelites were the ones that continued to take on the name of this Yahoo deity by putting it in their names. When you study onomastics, you see that the Israelites have this deity Yahoo in their name as a suffix, which creates a theophoric name. And we also have it on various texts, such as a Ashkenaz that we find in Tel Arad. We have the Lachish text, where we have the name of the deity as well. We have it in the Misha Stela, which mentions the deity as well. We also have it in the it just escaped my mind. But we have these references of the deity YHWH. We have the artifacts that's found at Kerbet El Kum, where we have YHWH that was there, and we have it in, I forgot the other site. We have these references to YHWH, and it connected to Israel. So even though these other groups were exposed to YHWH in that region of Temin, Paran, Seir, Sinai, Mount Sinai, it was only Israel that covenanted with them. So that's why when we find after the stoppage of the Bronze Age and the emergence of the Iron Age, guess who rose to prominence? Israel with the deity YHWH. That then we find transformed from YHWH to YHWH. And that's something totally different. YHWH. That's another thing altogether that I'll probably talk about another time. But what I want to show you is that we have the evidence in the text. We have hints in the text. We have evidence in archaeology. And we have these dissertations and papers and books from archaeologists who all tell us that we know that the Shashu groups, the early Shashu groups, which makes up the Edomites, the Israelites, the Midianites, the Amalekites, they all at some point acknowledge a deity called YHWH. However, they branched off. You got the Amalekites, right, and the Moabites that are now worshiping, Molech and Chemosh. Then you have the Edomites, which take on Kas, and the Midianites. We have at the Timnah Valley, the excavation site where they were subjugated to the Egyptians, and they built a temple to Hathor. The Egyptians did, and when Egyptians left that region, they started to build temple to their deity. It wasn't YHWH, it was to another deity. So the only group that maintained this covenant with the deity YHWH was the Israelites. And this is important because he chose them out. When we go to Deuteronomy chapter 32, verses 8 and 9, he chose them out for his own. So we see parts of the literature that are lining up with the material culture as we see them migrate and come into providence after the collapse of the Bronze Age and emergence of the Iron Age. All right. So that's what I wanted to bring out in regards to that, so that you'll know and you'll understand that. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We almost at 3 hour mark, so I'm gonna slow down right here. All right. Somebody says K Johnson. I don't know what he's saying. Oh, Kevin Johnson is here. No. Kevin Johnson. Mods, don't kick him. Leave him there. Seth, I think he is from South Africa. All right, there's the link right there. All right. I'm gonna stop right here. Okay. Yes, Paol Yaokanan, you're right. You're absolutely correct. Okay. So I'm gonna stop right there. There's a lot of information I know. I'm gonna slow down right here because we went almost 3 hours with information. The link is there for Kevin Johnson to jump on the panel so you can get this work. All right. Shout out to Maccabees TV in the building. He said, I saw your inbox too late, but Shalom, no problem, my brother. I know that you sat there and you worked Jabari. Jabari made a lot of errors. I was surprised. And you didn't even have your phone, your sorter, and nothing out, and you was working them. So shout out to my brother Maccabee CV for doing a stand-up job against Jabari on Black News 102 earlier today. All right. So anyway, I just want Kevin Johnson. I'm gonna close out because if I bring anybody else on and we build, we're gonna extend it past 3 hours. So Kevin Johnson, the link is there. Okay. You or any other trolls, Kevin G, you're not a troll. Any other trolls that have an issue with what's being taught here, what we said, the link is there. All right. The link is there. Those of you who are brand new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, go back and check out our archives. We get busy like this and tons of footage in the past. Again, those of you who want more resources can go into the Patreon. I'm going to throw some of these resources up on the Patreon over the weekend. So that way you have access to it, or you can email us and we can send it to you via email. All right. If you're not part of the Patreon. All right. So I'm waiting. Where's Kevin Johnson? I hope y'all didn't boot him. I want Kevin Johnson to come in here and get a little bit of this work. All right. Kevin Johnson, you there? Where you at? All right. Kevin G, I know you're not a troll. That's what I just said. The link is only for trolls. Yes. I don't know what you was talking about. Maybe you're talking to somebody else, Kevin G. My bad. Where's Kevin Johnson? Where's he at? Oh, he was timed out. Okay. So let's give him a second. I'm gonna give him a few minutes to see if he's gonna jump on. If not, then we'll close out. But at the end of the day, family, you know, what we try to do is equip our community to do better research, right? To get past the dogma and the stigma that is on our community. Like we don't research, we don't study, we don't know what we're talking about, and take things to a higher level. All right. So Kevin G, I think you're right. He can still click the link. You're right, but he's not clicking the link. All right. NMSeat Ibanga, if you want our email, is right there going across the screen. It's going across the screen right now. And it's also in the description box. All right. Don't forget, family, make sure you get the app, the My One Church app, download, install, open it up. In the zip code field, type 30064. Click on the Kingdom Harvard Ministries entry. And then from there, you can navigate throughout there, join our groups, go into the forum section, sign up for membership and all of that. All right. Don't forget, go back and check out the video before this one where we talk about natural path to Eden, what our health, education, and consultation sources is, and our employment for affiliates and for consultants as well. Okay. And I think that's all I want to cover with y'all today, family. Like I said, we're going to be in LA on November 13th, 14th, and 15th. All right. We'll be in LA. If you're in LA, you can email us, let us know so we can RSVP you, or do it through the app, which we recommend most communication is done through the app. All right. So Yahweh Stop, Son of Light, as we wait for Kevin Johnson, I think his name is Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson, click on the link. He says, Matthew 2:23, he says, by the prophets, he shall be called Nazarene. We don't find this spoken anywhere in the Old Testament. Now, remember, the Tanakh that we have today is not the original. All right. We have a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. However, the version that they may have had around that time period, one of the variants may have that in there. And this is something that's proposed by academia. So just because we don't necessarily see it in the version that we have today, the Biblica, the Hebraica Studentigensia, the Biblia Hebraica Studentigensia, which is the standard form that we have today, which is derived from the Leningrad Codex, does not mean that it didn't exist during that time period. Okay. Again, we had the Targums, was an Aramaic paraphrasing of the Hebrew liturgical text. All right. That was designed for people who did not know Hebrew, only knew it liturgically, but the Aramaic Targums was designed to help them understand what was in the Hebrew. And a lot of this started to occur during the Ezra Nehemiah rebuilding of the temple, city, and walls. Okay, when they found the book of the law and they had to give understanding to the people who didn't understand because it was written in Hebrew and they were speaking Aramaic from living in Babylon for 70 years. Okay. All right. And also we have a book on the Targums, right? Let me show you this. Let me show you this excellent book on the Targums. It's on the Patreon. Again, Patreon is lit. All right. Patreon is lit. Check this out. I want y'all to see this book that we got on the Targums, right? That I think everybody should get, man. It is excellent. And it ties it in with the New Testament as well. It's excellent. Check it out. This is why learning the Syriac, which is Middle Aramaic, is important in tying the things that we find there in the New Testament to the Old by way of the Targums. This book right here goes into that. Let me show it to y'all real quick. Check out this book on the screen. It's called Targum and Testament Revisited, Aramaic Paraphrases of the Hebrew Bible by Martin McNamara. All right. Excellent resource. Like I said, if y'all want to email me for it or join the Patreon, and it's on there. All right. It talks about the formation of a Targumic tradition, development of doctrine in Judaism, the synagogue and synagogue worship, which is important. All right. Aramaic as a language of the Jews, early written Targum, some characteristic of Targumic renderings, origin and transmission of the Palestinian Targum, date of the Palestinian Targum, and New Testament studies, which is important. This is why sometimes I don't like the New Testament Greek measuring against the Septuagint, because the consensus now is that a lot of these laymen that the apostles would have been and Yeshua would have been primarily spoke Aramaic. Some of them may have known some Greek so they can navigate and move around, but their primary language was Aramaic. Josephus himself says that some of his works he even translated in Greek because Greek was too difficult sometimes. Same problem I face with dealing with the Greek. Kind of difficult, right? But nonetheless, in order for you to best connect the New Testament to the Old Testament, I don't even like those words. You have to get into the Syriac to understand the Aramaisms that you can then link it back to the Targums. And that's why I like the Old Syriac Sinaitic as part of the set of the Synoptic Gospels. And it has the Gospel, the Synoptic Gospels. Curetonian Gospels connects us closer back to the Targums, which is the best way to line things up. You're looking for prophet, best way to line things up outside of the Greek scope of the Greek New Testament manuscripts and a Septuagint. That's the realm that academia goes. However, those in the know knows that you got to go back to the Aramaic to really understand what's going on. All right. So it goes into reverential manner of speaking of God, God in creation, the Holy Spirit, Father in heaven, sin and virtue, eschatology, the Targums, and Johannine literature. Very important. Other passages and concluding marks. Okay. Then it gives you introduction to all extant Targums, the Targums of the Pentateuch, geography, the Palestinian Targums of the Pentateuch, Targums of the prophets, Targums of hagiographa, right? And, hagio comes from the Greek hagios, which means holy. Grapha means writing, something that's written. All right. Excellent resource that we have there in order for you to connect truly. And that's why I say the reason why a lot of people are disconnected out from the Brit Hadashah is because they're reading it in Greek and referring things in there back to the, you're going all in the Greek. Get back into the Syriac, learn the Syriac that connects you back to the Aramaic so you can start reading and understanding the Targums so it can connect you back to the Old Testament, so-called Old Testament Tanakh. That to me brings you back into contact with what was actually said. Not the vox or the voice, but the actual verb of the words that would have been spoken. I'll leave that for another time. All right. So I still don't see the troll jumping in. All right, Kevin, not Kevin G, Kevin Johnson. You're not here. I don't know why you're not here. All right. You said all that stuff and you're trying to persuade, the people from getting off the line. I don't know what it is that you was talking about in there. I don't know what you was talking about. However, you cannot stop this. You understand? You're just mad because I'm giving resources to people. I'm equipping them learning the Greek, the Hebrew, Aramaic, Syriac, whatever the case may be, culture, history, all right, customs, ancient customs, sister cultures, material culture, living culture that's connected to it. You're mad because I'm giving these resources that undermine your orthodoxy. It's okay. You'll be all right. You'll be okay. At the end of the day, the people come out as the victor, not your particular theology. All right? Deal with it. Deal with it. All right. So with that being said, I don't see nobody else coming on. So I'm going to say, Most High Yah, we want to stay within your will. We want to put up this appeal before you that any direction that we have gone, that we've deviated away from your covenant, from the borders that you've incised around us, Most High Yah, we want you to bring us back into the fold. Help us to also speak to the lost sheep who are dead bones in the valley in these communities that we live in each and every day, and wake them up and bring them back into this consciousness, this understanding with you. So that way these protective spirits of these agents of other cultures will not befall upon us, will not encroach upon us, will not overtake us and destroy us. You've written a letter through the prophet Yirmiyahu to the children of Israel when they were in Babylon, tell them to increase and not decrease. We want to do the same thing while we're in our captivity or waiting for our redemption. Keep us active and proactive as you do your work and we do things to be in alignment with your will, Most High Yah. Any unfavorable circumstances, we pray, Most High Yah, that you will intervene for your name's sake, that we are taking on so that you can be best represented by the works that we do that glorifies you, Most High. We thank you for allowing us to have this opportunity to learn. All right. We want to put our oblations and our libations before you, Most High. Give our offerings that we can. Put this appeal before you, Most High, so that you can honor it, you can accept it, Most High, and you can bring us back in right standing and right covenant with you. We're not going to be deviated by the means of Orthodox Christianity, which wants us to pull away from the covenant that we have with you, even though the apostles that you have sent by way of the disciples of Yeshua all were Israelites and all had culture and all understood the balancing effect with the culture and the personage and work of Yeshua Bar Yosef. We want to stay within in alignment with the boundaries of the things that you intend for us to get and extract out of this text, Most High, by means of our culture. Continue to surround us. Send the tutelary spirits or messengers to protect us. We will continue to be in the shelter of you, under your shadow, Most High. We will not fear the pestilence, the arrows by day or night. We will continue to trust in you, Yah, so you can continue to bear us up so that our foot will not dash against the stones, the things that are meant to destroy us, Most High. We want to give you the honor, Most High. We want to give you the praise, Most High. We want to do these things because we want to baruch you, Most High. You are worthy of these things, Yah. We are just your vessels to do as you please. Are we not vessels of clay in the potter's hands? Put us back on the wheel as you may, Most High. Put us through what we need to so you can reform, shape, and fashion us, Most High. So you can then make us set apart so we can be filled and be used by the nation so they can understand. They can see the brandishing on the pottery and say, oh, we know whose that is. We want to give you all the honor, glory, praise, Most High. We thank you. We want to say hallelujah, 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 amen. And with that, family, I want to end off. We're going to do another live, maybe sometime over the weekend, but more plausibly during next week, all right, during the day. And then we're going to have a night live. Also, Sunday is my debate with Jeremiah Jewett and Black Jesus Minister with Don Bird. Make sure you guys tune in, all right? Also, if you want to support us, you'll see everything that's there that's going across the screen as well as in the description. If you need us, email us at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Please download the app because you communicate with us through the app. We can capture your data and better communicate back with you. All right. We want to do this holistically and collectively so we can change the detrimental conditions in our community today. We have the blueprint, and all I'm doing is equipping you with the tools so you can keep on this journey. All right. So Dream Sky Lover, shout out to Dream Sky Lover in the building, says, what time is the debate? I think it's at 10 p.m. on Sunday. All right. 10 p.m. on Sunday. All right. So thank you, family, for being in the chat. Thank you for participating. Thank you for building with one another. Of course, you know, at times we have trolls, but you already know how we deal with the trolls. We always give them an opportunity to come on the panel. And as you can see, they always skip town. All right. Because they're not ready for this work. I just want to be an employer for a day. Give them some work. They don't even want the work. So it's all good. All right. So anyway, family, take this information, make what it is you can do. Make sure you encourage each other. Look out for each other. All right. We're each other's keeper, despite what society wants us to be individualist and strictly capitalistic. We're going to revert back to the egalitarian village mindset, where we're going to cater and care for one another and think of the community as a whole instead of the individual. Get back to the mindset, the pre-exilic culture that we once had, all right, that was stripped away from us. We're restoring it. And the classes that we're about to do is going to show you guys how to do just that. And all these last couple of videos we did is just a taste of what to experience when we do these classes. All right. All right, family. So thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. Enjoy the rest of your evening, your Shabbat, those of you that keep it. And I'll see you guys again when I see you. Thank you again for the donations, support, and prayers, family. See you again.